せてほしいの It's summertime君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れるマジカット君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れるマジカット君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れるマジカット何年経っても言えない後悔したって今はないでも言葉はここまで出てるの It's summertime 海岸通りを歩きたいドライブだってしてみたい足し線の合わせてほしいの It's summertime君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないでも気持ちを伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れるマジカット君の虜にな してみたい足し線の合わせてほしいのレーサムタイム君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないででも気持ちが伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れるアンチカット君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないででも気持ちが伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れるアンチカット君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないででも気持ちが伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は覚めてしまうだろうな青い影が揺れるアンチカット何年経っても言えない後悔したって今はないでも言葉はここまで出てるのサムタイム海岸通りを歩きたいドライブだってしてみたい足し線の合わせてほしいのサムタイム君の虜になってしまえばきっとこの夏は充実するのもっともう戻れなくたって忘れないででも気持ちが伝えてしまえばいつかこの夢は
Here we go. Hi, everybody. We are live. It's us. We're back. And if you noticed, there's at least one extra thing. There's an extra image sitting here, and the God, in the Foogies. Why don't you say hello, you blushing pink square thing? You say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. How are you all doing tonight?
Hoshi, this is
Try
the
to contain
guy.
your excitement,
This is
everyone.
yeah. I saw. Yeah. It is. Hoshi, sir. Yes, Hoshi, keep posting. Keep post. I love that, sir. Sir. So yeah, we'll show you later. You can see that they're in this server, by the way. If you check, there's Mags. This is a Denny's. Sir, we are a restaurant.
Things are getting a little hot and
This is one
steamy at the
entire
Denny's.
Daddies.
It's adorable. This is great. Now, you guys thought Shim had a deep voice. Damn.
Yeah,
Bruh.
I thought so too.
You do actually, in
To
fact,
be
have a
fair-
deep voice.
Shim, I
Yeah.
think part of your thing is it could help with a slightly better microphone. Not that your microphone is bad. Also maybe
Nah,
room
my
treatment.
entire puberty got funneled into making my voice
be.
this way. I'm short.
You
So-
Vegeta-looking motherfucker.
Vegeta.
Oh, so Shim.
Remember the Bug Planet Vegeta, huh?
Oh God. So while you get the soft soothing voice, the soft soothing deep voice, he got the I speak and ladies get impregnated voice kind of thing. Sweet
Yeah, that's
gentle
awesome.
Jeebus. Yeah, Mags is the one that
He
Mags
has a
is the one
voice that
said
parts the
thing.
leg C.
The
So see,
leg
he's
C.
so. No, he has the
Will sail
See,
the
I'm
gentle
like I am
oceans
the
of vagina.
I am daytime audio ASMR
Vagina.
boyfriend, while he is NSFW
Here's an
or NSFW boyfriend.
like
That's very
yours is
accurate.
your voice, Shem. Mags screamed too beside me. Oh my God. Okay. Does Mags want to join the call and say to him what she said yesterday?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they said, but yeah.
Oh no, it's funny as hell. You can say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all are both in the server. Mags, do you want to join the call for a second and do that? One of you want to pull
You should.
Discord up on your phone and say something?
Yeah. It'd be funny.
It'd be hilarious. Oh my God. 1 sec. Yeah.
One Mississippi.
Should I swap to my less cursed Fugi, or do I just keep this on?
Keep that
No,
one on.
keep the
It's
cursed
hilarious.
Fugi. It is so good.
It is
Hi,
so
guys.
funny. Hi.
Hello.
We going?
You want to tell him, Mags? You want to go ahead and tell him?
Okay, so I think what they're referring to is I said your voice is in the category for me of Ron Perlman. You don't have to do anything. Just sit on the end of my bed and talk to me. I'll do all the work, I swear.
Oh my god.
No.
That's a
that
compliment
wasn't
if I've
what
ever
that
heard one.
wasn't full on what you said when you first heard his voice. When you first heard his voice, you were like, I felt that somewhere.
Oh, I said that voice went straight to my vagina.
Hooray!
It really did. Oh, sir, you're not allowed to have that nice of a. Oh my lord! This is a Denny's
Yeah.
parking lot.
Hooray!
Sir, this is a Denny's. So
You sound like you're at a drive-through.
yeah.
I'm sure this is a Denny's.
I made the joke earlier. I made the joke earlier while he was talking. I was like, see, that's the funny thing. I have a dick and he talked and I'm pregnant.
Damn. I'm probably.
The voice is just that
Damn.
that powerful. It's that powerful.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. I should have said y'all got to really show up and hear this voice that is on the show tonight. We'd have got so many more viewers. That's so funny.
Honestly,
Yeah,
though,
probably.
like
Probably.
Okay.
People
So
do love the deep
when he
voice.
gets his own specific day to read, that will be the day that we
I
get
was
the
gonna
highest
say,
numbers.
Like
That's
I was
when
gonna
we
say,
get
Richie,
the
did
most
you want
retention.
me to like take a back seat? Because like Cube can totally read if he wants to. Like I said, if you want to spotlight this guy,
We'll
because
all
I know it's
just
my
sit
turn.
and enjoy.
I will sit back.
One thing first, he doesn't have the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel the pain. I feel the pain.
Mushoku Tensei Volume 13. No, you don't. No, you don't. You share an Amazon account with me. You have all of it.
I know now,
Yeah.
but not before.
Yeah. So we're just gonna let Mag stay in the call the whole time and just fangirl. Is that what we're
No,
doing?
I'm about to watch
Look, if
guys.
we're gonna do that, we're gonna need to take it to Blue
Yeah.
Twitch.
I'm finally showing them Child's Play. I've never seen a Chucky movie in my life.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh.
I've
okay.
got all right. So I've got some
I don't know
news.
anything about Rugrats.
I've got to update you
It's
guys, but I'll do it via text. I'll
Wrong
do it via
Chucky, but
text.
right design.
Mhm.
It is a pleasure to meet you, though, Cute. Yeah. Hi.
It is
the
nice
funny
meeting
thing-
you.
I can do that to them too because they say I have a mommy dommy voice when I want to.
That's awesome.
Oh
I don't
God, are we
Hey.
gonna have a battle of the Dom voices? I'm here for it.
Round one, fight.
No,
Oh,
wait, let me
honey,
lay down a towel first.
As a dedicated sub Twitch,
This
I
summer,
appreciate
two
it.
voice actors
As a
duke
bi
it out with their
switch.
voices.
Oh, they did the reader. That's so cool.
Buy Switch 2. Whoa.
Alright, here's mine. Now, please be a good boy and.
Meep.
You know what the funny part is? Star dead.
Man, this is an Arby's.
Man.
We have the meats.
Yeah.
I don't know if I wear the special shorts, but that's besides the point.
So there you go. There's my news update. There. Have fun. with That.
Yay.
Yippee.
Hoshi, you can't be mad at me.
Yeah.
This was not planned.
Oh. Was?
It was not. It was not.
It was not.
It was not.
Was not.
Holy yeah. That's cool though. That's what makes it better.
Yeah. I wasn't looking
Ugh.
for this.
Best laid plans. What
But it's
plans?
very welcome.
Plans? I don't make plans.
Plans.
I'm ADHD.
The fuck
What
is a
are
plan?
plans?
Whoa.
Fuck are plans? All right.
The fuck is a kilometer? Ooh.
The fuck is a Dragon Ball?
The fuck's a condom?
They don't even have
Fuck's a
dragons on the
condom?
ball. Oh, okay.
Human tails. Humans don't have tails. They have
No
big
tails,
bottoms.
brother.
They walk around with tight shorts. They walk around going, "Hi, Helen."
Silly Gohan. The animals don't eat humans. Humans eat animals. Silly Gohan.
Oh my god. So, yep, we're gonna go ahead and get started. You guys have fun. And Shim, we are starting up with volume 13.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
It's chapter 1.
Chapter 1. There's no prologue.
I mean, there's the quote. You only realize the real value of something you discarded when you get the chance to pick it up again.
Awesome. I don't have to read it now.
For a guy who ditched one family, I got pretty lucky this time around. Could you imagine? Okay.
Hold on. Let me get one water real quick.
Water.
Hydrate, everyone.
I do need that.
Hydration is important.
Remember,
Let me see.
everybody, to hydrate.
Hey gamers, yeah.
You're gonna make people dehydrated.
Everyone's already thirsty enough, dude.
I was like, "Damn, dude, chat's already really, really thirsty.
Chat's
you don't
acting
have to
up.
keep doing this, you know."
Yeah. Damn.
Oh, I forgot I got a new volume. I have to
Smooth
resync.
Jazz 104.3.
Guys, smooth jazz.
You're
Yeah.
listening to
like
smooth
jazz?
jazz.
I'm having
Yes.
to sync. I'm having to resync my
appreciate it.
Kindle because I just realized I have another, a new volume of Solo Leveling.
Yeah.
Digital manhwa has dropped, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I need to put that. Yeah, that's a thing.
Cool.
That's something that I need to. Yep. Sure is something in here.
It's getting hot in here.
So hot. So open the windows.
I don't think I
Hold on a sec. Okay, yeah, there we go. Sorry, I was trying to adjust something on my mic
You're
real quick.
good. You're good. Go for it.
All right. So, chapter 1.
Your time.
Yeah. Roxy's new job.
All right.
One morning.
We'll
Sorry, go ahead.
mute so you can guys go ahead. You guys can go ahead and do all that
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. One morning, I was roused from slumber by the most delicious of smells that wafted in my nostrils as I slept, filling my heart with warm and wonderful emotions. Huh? Startled by this alluring aroma, I snapped my eyes open. Found a goddess in bed next to me, sound asleep. Her cherubic face was inches from my eyes. I could even hear her breathing softly through her charming little nose. Oh. I slowly emerged from beneath the blanket and then rose to my knees as quietly as I could. Putting my hands together, I offered her a brief gesture of supplication. There was a holy personage in my bed. It was only natural that I show her deference. Wait a minute. Could this mean? With shaking hands, I reached out to pull back the blanket from atop the goddess. It was just as I'd hoped. Astonishing as it may seem, her entire body had manifested next to me. Oh! Her figure was slender and deceptively youthful in appearance, lacking curves in certain places where they might usually be expected. It was too dark to see clearly, but was that dot I saw on her chest a divine symbol, perhaps? An auspicious mark meant to represent her third eye? No, probably not. Still, it was something no less holy. Would it be permissible for me to touch her? Surely I had the heaven's implicit blessing. The goddess had come to me, after all. I was the chosen one, the Messiah, and surely a Messiah is allowed to touch his God. But was it permissible for me to do so while her spirit was roving elsewhere? There was a risk that I would burden my soul with sin and bar myself from the gates of nirvana. The moment I reached out my hand, she might flood the room with brilliant light, shout, "Begone, foul Mara!" and purify me into nothingness. What a cruel dilemma. I couldn't help it if my little apostle was feeling particularly fervent this morning. It's cold. The goddess grabbed blindly for the blanket, pulled it back over her, and then turned on her other side. Oh, how truly wondrous. I could see the white nape of her neck peeking from beneath her blue hair. I could see the hickeys I'd left her there yesterday. Truly splendid. Surely I was the luckiest man in the world to be offered such spectacular sights the very moment I awakened. Oh, right. We don't have that much time in the morning, do we? Better get her up. Roxy, wake up. It's morning. My goddess opened her eyes and slowly sat up. The blanket slipped away as she did so, revealing her lovely naked back. This was the dawn of a new age. Good morning. Sluggishly, she turned around to face me, eyes fogged with sleep. She had 2 auspicious marks on her chest and a cute little belly button down below them. And then there were her panties, which hid further spiritual delights. My stupa was accumulating karma at a dangerous rate of speed. At this rate, I was going to reach enlightenment before too long. Oh. Perhaps noticing the state of affairs, she grabbed the blanket and pulled it up to hide her body. The goddess had abandoned me. All light faded from the world. A new dark age was upon us. Is there a reason you look so dejected? She inquired dryly. Oh, it's nothing. I just wanted to take a nice long look at your body in the daylight, teacher. I don't think it's much to look at anyway. Don't be absurd. Come on, pull back that blanket. Let me bask in your radiance. Good Lord, you're certainly energetic this morning. Well, whatever. I suppose there isn't any reason to be bashful at this point. Slowly, Roxy pulled the blanket aside. Just like that, the light came flooding back into my world. Yeah, I saw the light, and it was good. I saw the darkness, too. Oh. I named it Eros, and the light Apollo. Beside the darkness, I saw a belly button and thighs. I named them Cupid and Amor. That seemed like enough work for the first day. Alright, I think that's enough. Once again, that accursed blanket hid the glories of creation from my eyes. Another dark age was... Okay, even I was getting sick of this bit. Me too. Rudy? Yes, dear? Thank you. For last night. Roxy ducked her head to me with an awkward little bow. Last night had been something of a special one for us. It was something we'd built up to over a couple of weeks. We'd agreed that Roxy would officially become my second wife once Sylphie gave birth. That had happened a while ago, but up until yesterday, Roxy and I hadn't actually slept together since our arrival in Sharia. Part of it was that everyone was busy adjusting to Lucy's arrival, but I could tell Roxy was also anxious about our new arrangement. That was understandable, but I wanted to do something about it. And so, I put in some special effort to relieve her. I treated Roxy like a princess last night. My jaw was still a bit sore this morning. I put her through a real workout. It was all worth it, though. She'd most definitely been satisfied. To be honest, I didn't even know where there there were techniques like those. Her eyes darting away from mine, Roxy blushed a little. Well, it's a wide world out there, you know? I'd use every trick I knew. Over the years, I developed a routine that always left Sophie breathless from too much moaning. I wanted to overwhelm Roxy with pleasure too, and I figured my techniques would be the quickest way to accomplish that. It hadn't gone exactly as expected, though, mostly because Roxy kept asking me questions at every step of the process. Usually something like, "What should I be doing now?" It seems she was just the studious type, even in bed. I'd indulged her with brief explanations and tips, followed by extensive hands-on demonstrations. Teach me more of the details
Open.
next time, all right? You could always let slide back and let me do my thing,
Aw.
Roxy. I'll make sure you enjoy yourself. No, thank you. I want to develop my own skills. To be honest, this wasn't what I pictured when I was planning things out beforehand, but it wasn't half bad, in its own way. Sophie had her approach to sex, and Roxy had a different one. I found both of them very satisfying, so I wasn't about to complain. I'm going to be late for work. Her face still slightly flushed. Roxy turned her face away from me and clambered down out of bed. I stayed right where I was, seated formally on the bed, and bathed in the radiance of her butt as she walked across the room. Huh? What is it? Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. Sensing my gaze, Roxy looked back at me. I turned and pretended like I'd been getting dressed all along. I felt Roxy's eyes on me from behind. I was starting to consider flexing for her amusement when she walked over and touched my back. I'm sorry, Rudy. It looks like I scratched you. Does it hurt? Huh? When I craned my head around to get a look, I could just see 4 long, thin welts on one side of my neck, or on my back. They stung a little when I touched them. Roxy had left them on me last night. They were a badge of honor, in other words. Now she's got me remembering the look on her face when she did that. Down, boy, down. We don't have time for your antics right now. I'm fine, Roxy. I hope they don't leave a scar or anything. Roxy's face was bright red as she mumbled out those words. The fact that she didn't even think of healing them with magic made me feel like she was busy remembering last night as well. I looked up and met her gaze. I could see my face's reflection in her big blue eyes. After a moment, she closed them, clearly anticipating a kiss. I couldn't take her up on that, though. We'd find ourselves right back in bed 10 seconds later. And so I restrained myself to stroking her cheek affectionately. I think it's about time we got dressed, Professor. Oh, right. Of course. Roxy hopped back away from me, looking more than a little embarrassed, and started pulling on her underwear. I turned around and started getting dressed as well. Do I look all right, Rudy? Once she got her robes on, Roxy turned around in front of me so I could look things over for her. Yep. Really? Of course, Roxy. You look great. That was an understatement, in fact. If there was anyone stupid enough to imply that Roxy looked anything less than perfect, I'd ensure they saw the error of their ways. Well, all right. It's my first day on the job, you know. I can't mess this one up. Roxy squeezed her hand into a fist and nodded to herself. As of today, she was going to be commuting to the University of Magic as well, but as a member of the faculty. This would also be my first day as a third-year student there. But before we get into all that, I should probably turn back the clock a little. Let's talk about the day that Roxy got her new job. Several months earlier. About a week had passed since I returned home from my journey. It had been hectic for a while there, but things were finally starting to calm down again. I was relaxing on the sofa in the living room when Roxy walked in. Rudy, I think I'd like to work at their University of Magic. Would that be all right with you? Huh? I wasn't sure what she meant at first. She looked down at me with her usual steady expression, fixing her eyes on mine. I feel like I've got a bit too much time on my hands, so I wanted to see about making myself more useful. So you're saying you want to become a professor or something? That's the idea, yes. Roxy nodded, her face solemn and serious. It did make sense. She seemed a little bit restless since our arrival here. Roxy wasn't exactly a domestic housekeeper type. She spent most of her life as a solo adventurer on the road, so she could handle almost any job when she needed to, but when it came to housework, she wasn't nearly as efficient as Aisha, Sophie, or Lilia. Also, we had 2 dedicated maids living in the house already, so there wasn't much for her to do. She was taking the place of my left hand sometimes, though. I wasn't used to being one-handed yet, and it did make some things really inconvenient. It was a help having Roxy around to assist me with getting dressed and eating my meals. Still, it wasn't like I absolutely needed her around all day. I could bumble by on my own when I had to. In any case, Roxy wanted to be a professor, did she? She was an amazing teacher, of course. I knew personally what a blessing it could be to learn magic from her. Given her talents and wisdom, it would be criminal of me to keep her around as nothing more than a replacement for my missing hand. Keeping her all to myself did have a certain appeal, but for the sake of everyone else in the world, She should be out there enriching our society with her presence. I'm sure it sounds a little arrogant to you, since I'm nothing special as a mage. Oh, sorry, this is her. I'm sure it sounds a little arrogant to you, since I'm nothing special as a mage, but I've always enjoyed teaching people what I know. What? That's not what I was thinking at all. I was actually kind of offended in a way. No matter how many parallel universes might exist, you never find one where I thought Roxy was arrogant. I was fated to respect her deeply in every possible world line. It was the choice of Steins Gate. You should go for it, Roxy. Absolutely. You'll be a great professor. Oh, well, that's nice to hear. And a little embarrassing, I guess. Now that the matter was settled, there was no point dilly-dallying around. Okay then, why don't we talk to Vice Principal Genius right now? Roxy started in surprise. Genius? Wait, Professor Genius is the Vice Principal now? That's right. Do you know him? For some reason, Roxy hesitated for a moment with something like a grimace on her face. He was my master, actually. Oh? Is Genius a Saint Tier water mage, then? I thought fire magic was his specialty. Maybe I'm misremembering? Then again, it wasn't that unusual for a mage to study more than one element in depth. Presumably, Genius was a water mage as well and had just neglected to mention it to me. I'm afraid I said some very harsh things the last time I saw him. I regret that now, but I was young and hot-headed. Don't worry about it, Roxy. The past is the past. From what she told me, Roxy's master in magic was a pompous, prideful fool of a man. The Genius I knew was a diligent and polite guy who spent most of his time pushing paper around. He probably changed a lot himself over the years. What if he holds it against me, though? I'll make sure he puts it all behind him, whether he wants to or not. I already owe Genius a good deal for his help over the years, but for Roxy's sake, I wouldn't hesitate to add to the debt I owed him. Well, okay then. Hopefully it won't come to that. With that settled, the two of us headed out for the University of Magic. We found Genius buried under a mountain of paperwork as always. Well, my goodness. At the sight of Roxy, he offered us a smile that looked more like a grimace. Awkward smiles are basically his default expression, but this one was definitely more awkward than usual. Sorry to interrupt, Vice Principal Genius. Could we have a bit of your time? Of course, Rudius. Why don't we step into the other room? Still, despite the fact that he was obviously busy, Genius readily agreed to speak with us. The man always had a lot on his plate, but he never shooed me away when I needed help. He wasn't a bad guy at heart. Take a seat, please. After heading over to the reception room, Roxy and I settled down on the sofa across from Genius. When was the last time I'd been in here? After my duel with Bodyguardy matey? It had been, definitely been a while. First of all, it's nice to see you again, Roxy. It's been too long, Master Genius. Didn't you say I, wasn't worthy of that title? Roxy let her gaze fall to the ground. I'm sorry about all that. I was young and arrogant, I suppose. The conversation had begun tentatively. They clearly both thought one wrong word might lead to an explosion of anger. I think that goes for the both of us. I was far too proud of myself. Once they apologized to each other, though, they both visibly relaxed. They'd thought of each other as obstacles for a long time, but at some point they'd probably developed a kind of mutual respect. And only now, years after the fact, were they able to admit that to themselves. I had no way of knowing what they'd argue about in the past, but after all this time, it seemed like it was water under the bridge. A decade or two is enough to change most people. After a few seconds, Genius raised his head and cleared his throat. In any case, what can I do for you two today? Well, Master Genius... Master Genius, in my travels after leaving the university, I eventually came to understand the joys and rewards of teaching. I was hoping to become an instructor here, if possible. Well, said Genius with a slight grin. Didn't you regard teachers as utterly useless at one point? You certainly have changed, Roxy. Was he going to give us trouble about this? Feeling a little nervous, I shot a look over at Roxy, only to find she was smiling slightly as well. Maybe they both found something humorous in that situation. I found myself feeling a little bit left out. If Genius had rejected the idea, I'd been planning to get pretty pushy on Roxy's behalf, but it didn't look like that was going to be necessary. In fact, my presence here was probably unhelpful. Teacher, would it be alright if I left you two to work out the details? Huh? Okay. I don't mind if you stay around, though. Well, I was thinking I'd drop in on a friend of mine. Roxy and Genius were old acquaintances. They probably had a lot of catching up to do, and somehow I felt like Roxy might be reluctant to let me hear too many embarrassing stories from her younger days. That made me just a little sad, but it seemed best for me to leave the room. I headed straight over to Zenoba's laboratory. I told him I might be gone for 2 years and I'd make it back in time in a mere 6 months. Or, I told him I might be gone for 2 years and I'd made it back in a mere 6 months. He'd probably be surprised to see me. The outcome of my trip hadn't been especially positive, of course, but there was no need for me to get him depressed as well. I'd have to try and act as cheerfully as possible. Okay. I knocked on the door and then stepped inside without waiting for a reply. Breaking news, Zenoba! I'm back! Ugh. Inside, I found my friend straddling a life-size mannequin with an ecstatic expression on his face. The two of us stared at each other in silence for a few seconds. What was Zenoba feeling right now in this instant? What emotions were swirling through his mind? I knew, of course. I knew it all too well. Averting my eyes, I closed the door, without a word. Immediately, there was a great deal of clattering from inside the room. I waited about 10 minutes until the sounds finally stopped and a small voice called, "I'm ready." I threw open the door vigorously for the second time. Breaking news, Zenoba! I'm back! Oh, how splendid! If it isn't my beloved master Rudius! The two of us rejoiced in our reunion and embraced each other as if nothing at all had happened. There was no reason for either of us to feel awkward. The two of us were best friends. I didn't see anything. Nothing even happened. You certainly have returned to us quickly, Master. I thought you were going to be gone for 2 years. Well, it's a long story, but we ended up coming back early. Ah, so you accomplished a 2-year quest in less than half the time. You never cease to amaze me. I took a look around the room. It was full of dolls and statues, many of which seemed to be folk art of some kind. I'd been in this room many times before, of course, but it felt almost nostalgic to be back. He certainly accumulated a lot of new toys while I was gone, though. In particular, Julie's desk was virtually covered in clay dolls and figurines. She'd obviously been working hard in my absence. Where are Ginger and Julie? The two of them are out shopping at present. Some of the things I asked them for won't be available until evening, so they won't be back for some time. I see. That's why he'd felt it safe to engage in a date with his beloved doll friend. This was probably an uncommon opportunity for him. I almost felt bad about having interrupted. Oh, Master, your hand! At this point, Zenoba finally noticed that I'd come back without a left hand. He was staring at the stump of my wrist with a troubled look on his face. Yeah, it's gone. I got a little careless out there. What opponent could be so fearsome enough to harm you so grievously? It was a Hydra, with an immunity to magic. A Hydra? I see. That's no small threat. When I looked back on that battle, it was obvious we were lacking the physical attack department. If Zenoba had been along with us, maybe we could have taken the Hydra down more easily. Maybe we really should have turned back temporarily and recruited him or someone else to help us out. There wasn't much point speculating about it now, though. If the beast was resistant to magic, I can see why even you would have struggled to defeat it. Yeah. Oh, and even when we managed to cut off one of its heads, they grew right back. There's no picnic, that's for sure. It was capable of regeneration as well. How did you manage to slay it then? Our swordsman chopped off its heads, and then I seared the stumps with fire. Ah, now I see. The flesh itself was vulnerable, even if its hide was not. I presume you thought up this strategy yourself, Master. I just remember hearing someone say that was a way to do it. Thinking about that battle wasn't doing wonders for my mood. I'd gone in knowing the way to kill that monster, but Paul still ended up dead. The more Zenoba complimented our victory, the more depressed it made me feel. I must say, Master, you look rather gloomy. Well, we did win, but it came at a heavy price. Ah, I see. Glancing down at my hand, Zenoba nodded to himself. On that note, I think I have an idea. With a smile, he trotted over to his own work desk and started rooting around through the bottom drawer. After a few moments, he pulled out a scale model of a hand. Maybe that wasn't the right way to describe it. It was a bit clunky looking for a hand. Maybe it was a prototype of some kind of glove. Take a look at this, please. What is that thing, Zenoba? It is the fruit of some 6 months' labors. Oh? Indeed, said Zenoba proudly, a meaningful smile on his face. I wasn't just sitting around in your absence, Master. True enough, you've also been making love to inanimate objects. Whoops. No, I didn't see that. I didn't see anything. Oh, okay then what is it exactly? Observe. His face was full of confidence. Zenoba balled his free hand into a fist, then plunged it inside the model glove. At this point, he shouted something that sounded like an incantation. Earth, be thou my hand! All of a sudden, the model began to move. It had been fixed in the shape of a fist, but now its clay-like fingers slowly extended. It clenched again, and then unclenched, and then folded down its fingers one by one. All these movements were startlingly smooth and natural-looking. It's a magical implement in the shape of a hand. It moves exactly as its bearer wills. I followed your advice, Master, and continued my study of that mysterious doll with Clip's assistance. This is my first practical implementation of my findings. Master? Master? Yeah. Sorry about that. I'd actually been speechless with surprise for a moment there. I did remember telling Zenoba to focus on studying the hands and arms of that doll, but I certainly hadn't expected him to make something this impressive in a matter of months. That's incredible, Zenoba. I'm honestly impressed. Oh, but I haven't even gotten to the best part yet. By using this device, I'm able to control my fearsome strength. Wait, really? Indeed. Zenoba nodded with a smile of genuine joy on his face. His happiness was obvious and infectious. If Zenoba could control his strength, that meant he could make figurines himself. He finally found a way that he could create the things he loved most. It was hard for me to even imagine how much that meant to him. My hand, return to Earth. Was Zenoba's second incantation. This hand stopped moving. Apparently, you could turn it on and off at will. Now then. Pulling his hand out of the magical implement, Zenoba offered it to me. Please do give it a try yourself, Master. Simply command it with the words, Earth, be thou my hand, and it will become a part of you. When you wish to remove it, speak the words, my hand, return to Earth. All right. Accepting the hand from Zenoba, I pushed it against my wrist. The thing was made to have room for a balled-up hand inside it. Of course, since I was missing a hand, it felt like it might fall off at any moment. I'm not sure this thing's going to stay on, though. It won't be a problem. Go ahead, try the incantation. Okay, then. Earth, be thou my hand. The instant I spoke those words, I felt the device draining mana from my arm. It didn't take that much, but of course it wouldn't, if Zenoba could use it. Whoa! As soon as I absorbed my mana, or as soon as it absorbed my mana, I felt the device press itself tightly against my stump. The sense that I was wearing something quickly faded away. In its place, I could feel the artificial hand that was now connected to me. What do you think? Gingerly, I tried moving my left hand. I opened it and closed it, stretched out each finger starting from the thumb, and folded them down starting from the pinky. The crude-looking clay responded as if it was just another part of my body. It's moving. It's really moving. Ah, but there's more to it than that. Try touching something, why don't you? Right. I reached out to take a small wooden sculpture from the nearby table. It was a carving of a horse about the size of my fist. My artificial fingertips could feel its weight and texture. The sensation was a little dull and indistinct, almost as if I were wearing a thick pair of cotton gloves. But it was definitely there. You can even feel things through this? That's incredible. But of course, one could hardly hope to make a figurine without a sense of touch. True enough. You need to be pretty precise with the amount of force you use when you're carving something. Since Zenoba made this with his own goals in mind, the sense of touch would have been an essential feature. Just to see what might happen, I tried casting a small spell through my new fingers. A tiny ball of water appeared in front of them. It seemed like magic wasn't going to be a problem either. Had Zenoba really created this thing in only half a year? That couldn't have been easy. His passion for figurines must have kept him incredibly motivated. I wasn't entirely sure you'd be able to use it without a hand, but it seems there aren't any major problems, said Zenoba with a satisfied smile. Yeah, it moves just fine. You can feel the fingers too, and use magic. If you wish to increase its strength, simply feed it more of your mana. Its power will increase accordingly. Oh, really? Of course. If you were to give it all of your mana, I would expect it to fall apart under the strain. It's sturdier than a normal human hand, but do be cautious. Well, let's see. As we spoke, I fed the device a bit more mana. The weight of the sculpture in my hand seemed to disappear entirely. Wow, this is really... Before I could finish my sentence, there was a sharp crack. Oh. I'd snapped one of the legs clean off the little horse without even meaning to. Master, how could you? Zenoba stared at me with a reproachful look on his face. Sorry, Zenoba. I'll make it up to you. Oh, that was a traditional sculpture from the ancient principality of Giara. I doubt I'll ever find its like again. Well, maybe I can make you something new? It'd just be an earth magic sculpture, but... At this offer, Zenoba's face lit up. Oh, how splendid! I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pressure you. Taking the sculpture from me, he carefully put it away inside his desk. Maybe he was planning to superglue it back together or something. Hopefully it would go well. Zenova turned back to face me. That hand is yours to keep, Master Rudius. It's still only a prototype, of course, but I'm sure it's better than nothing. Really? Are you sure? With you and Cliff to help me, I'm sure I can make another of comparable quality in no time at all. That made sense. He was still actively working on his research, after all. It would be nice to make the thing more sensitive. That way I could use it for recreational fondling. There were countless other possible improvements, of course. This thing had a lot of potential. For example, we could find a way to make it transform into various tools or weapons. How useful would it be to have fingers that turn into drills whenever you needed one? Or a hand that turned into a magic cannon on demand? Zenoba, I think this might be a pretty amazing invention. I quite agree. Not to toot my proverbial horn, but I do think it's rather splendid, or it's a rather splendid little item. Useful as it might be in combat or in making figurines, there are plenty of other applications. For one thing, it was a brilliant prosthetic. In this world, it was possible to reattach a severed limb if you made your way to a magician with advanced skills in healing, and wounds that would have landed you in a hospital back in my old world could be cured quickly with even elementary spells. On the other hand, having a missing part of your body regenerated was extremely expensive. Unless you were very wealthy, it probably wasn't going to happen. And there weren't many Egyptians, many magicians even capable of restoring an entire arm or leg. You could find some in the holy country of Milis, but even they were pretty rare, or very rare, excuse me. A mere adventurer couldn't expect to employ their services. When a common villager or adventurer lost a part of their body, for the most part they had to make do with a crude replacement, something more like Captain Ahab's wooden peg leg. If we started selling magical prosthetics like this at a relatively affordable price, we'd be helping a lot of people and making plenty of money in the process. The healers of Milis might not be too pleased about that, but fortunately they were on the other side of the world from us. As long as we got the backing of a larger organization like the university or a magic guild, or the magic guild, it would probably work out just fine. Do you have a name for this thing, Zanoba? I hadn't given it one as of yet, no. Neither Cliff nor I have much talent for naming things, I'm afraid. Oh yeah? That wasn't much fun. Surely we could come up with something, right? Would you care to do the honors for us, Master Rudius? Huh? Sure, I guess. I didn't think of myself as especially great at naming things either, but I couldn't turn him down if he wanted my help. Looking down at the thing that was now serving as my left hand, I took a moment to think. When it came to removable artificial hands, the first words that popped in my head were, rocket punch! But it wasn't like I could fire this thing off at my enemies or anything, although I could always throw it at them in a pinch. The second term that came to mind was Hand of Glory. As in the severed, pickled hand of an executed criminal, which supposedly held magical powers, not the special move of a perverted bandana-wearing anime character. I didn't feel the need to reuse a name that already existed, though. This thing was a brand new invention, something this world had never seen before. Maybe the inventors deserve to get some credit. Why don't we take a bit from Zenoba and a bit from Cliff? We'll call it the Azalif prosthesis? Shouldn't there be a part of your name in there as well, Master? Nah, it's alright. I really didn't contribute to this or anything. I don't believe that's entirely true, but very well. From now on, we'll call that device the Zalif prosthesis. Prototype 1. Zenova smiled proudly as he spoke. In any case, it seemed I now had a magical replacement for my missing hand. It wasn't as precise or as sensitive as my old one, but it moved just fine, and I could at least feel things through it. It could also become very powerful with the addition of a little excess mana. I was going to need some practice to get the hang of using the correct amount of force, though. My goal was to get to the point where I could gently squeeze Roxy and Sophie's breasts. I see. There's still quite a lot of room for improvement, of course, but we also need to continue our study of the automaton. What should we prioritize, Master Rudius? Let's see. Apparently there were some fundamental issues with this prototype. For one thing, its mana consumption wasn't ideal. I could use it indefinitely, but it would suck Zenova dry after only 2 or 3 hours. The fingers were also a little on the thick side, which wasn't aesthetically pleasing. And of course, its sense of touch wasn't perfect yet. If we managed to resolve all those problems, it would be an even more amazing invention. That said, this prosthetic wasn't the main focus of our research. It was just a byproduct of it. Well, let's not lose our focus here. Our goal was to make an automaton of our own, with our own hands. This prosthetic would definitely command a high price, and it made for a very convenient tool. We could probably put it on the market at some point, but I didn't want it taking up all our research time. We're trying to make a fully automated doll here, right? We can't let ourselves forget about that. Very true. For the moment, let's put improving the prosthetic on the back burner and get back to studying the automaton. Of course. I rather expected you, excellent master. Zenoba and I seemed to be in agreement, fortunately. We could always work on the prosthetic on the side. The two of us kept talking for a little while afterwards, but for the most part, our conversation focused on the various dolls and figurines I'd seen on the Beggaret continent. When I told him about their glass sculptures, Zenoba's eyes lit up with excitement. Anyway, how's Julie been doing while I was gone? Quite well. The other day, or just the other day, she finished a figurine of a certain gentleman. I believe she wanted to show it to you, Master Rudius. Had she finished the Regent figurine already? I did want to see that as soon as possible, but that's good to hear. But if she's not going to be back until evening, I guess I might not be able to see her today. Do you have some other business to attend to? My master's interviewing for a job at the moment. Once she's done, I was planning to go around and say hi to everyone. Your master? With impeccable timing, someone knocked at the door. Rudy, are you in there? This is the place, isn't it? It was Roxy's voice. Apparently she'd finished with the vice principal while Zenoba and I were catching up. Come on in. We were just talking about you, actually. Pardon me. Roxy stepped into the room tentatively. She paused to look around the room for a moment, then gingerly made her way over to my side. This is quite an impressive laboratory. Is it really all right for me to be in here? I feel like there are a few things I really shouldn't be seeing. Don't be silly, Roxy. There's not a single place on this campus that you're not allowed to enter. I don't really think that's up to you, Rudy. Maybe not, but you're welcome here at least. As the two of us chatted, Zenoba stood frozen in place. After a moment, I noticed that he was trembling slightly. Zenoba, let me introduce you. This is Roxy M. Greyrat, my master in magic. It's nice to meet you, or to see you again, Prince Zenoba. I'm glad to find you looking so hale and healthy. Roxy bowed her head deeply to Zenoba. Zenoba, for his part, just stared at her and trembled even more visibly than before. Finally, he raised his shaking arms above his head, and all of a sudden, he bellowed out a strange roar of some kind. After leaping up into the air like a frog, he dropped flat to the ground, prostrating himself with his hands stretched out in front of him. Roxy flinched in surprise and stepped behind me, partially hiding herself from view. How wonderful to see you again, Lady Roxy. My deepest apologies for how rudely I treated you in the past. I had no idea at that time that you were the master of my master. Please stop groveling. You're the prince of an entire kingdom, and I'm just a magician. What if someone were to see this? Roxy was obviously flustered, not that I could blame her. This was probably my cue to step in and calm things down a little. Not to worry, teacher. If anyone tried to make an issue of it, I'd silence them myself. Not you too, Rudy. Have you lost your mind? God, she's so cute when she's all worked up. There really wasn't anything to be worried about, though. I think you just need to take a few deep breaths and calm down, Roxy. It's perfectly natural that Zenoba will want to prostrate himself in front of you. Is it? Could you explain why? Well, Zenoba, it's perfectly natural, isn't it? His face was still pressed solidly into the ground. Zenoba nodded respectfully. Indeed! She is the master of my master, after all. See? Perfectly reasonable all the way around. That's not an explanation. I want an actual reason. You don't need a reason to do what comes naturally, right? Just accept the gesture gracefully, why don't you? But... Oh, very well then. Zenoba, would you mind standing up? It seemed like we weren't making any progress in this conversation, so I decided to let Zenoba get back on his feet. Man was on the tall side, so once he was standing again, he probably had a clear view of the top of Roxy's adorable head. That struck me as decidedly impudent, but I'd have to let it pass. He couldn't control his own height, after all. In any case, Miss Roxy, how was your interview? Asked Zenoba politely. Do you think you'll be hired as a professor? Yes. Master Genius, the vice principal, that is, seemed to think my skills as a magician were adequate. Well, of course they are, I interjected. You're the woman who taught me magic, after all. You did most of your learning on your own, Rudy. I'm not sure how much that says about my potential as an educator. Apparently, Roxy would be starting her new job as an instructor here as soon as the next term got underway. This clearly called for a celebration. It wasn't the only thing we had to celebrate, either. We'd be getting married soon. My sisters were going to be turning 10 before long, and we had another member of the family on the way. Might be easiest to consolidate them into one big party or something. Apart from everything else, Paul's letter had suggested having a celebration once everyone made it back here. There wasn't any rush, though. We all had a lot on our plates right now. It'd be better to wait until things were a little less crazy. Oh, I almost forgot. I was planning to go around and say hi to everyone else, too. Quite reasonable, Master. I'm sure they'll be overjoyed to see you back so soon. Zenoba smiled so broadly that I couldn't help grinning as well. More than anything else, I was excited to finally introduce Roxy to the others. All right then, Zenoba. Thanks again for the prosthetic. I will come back soon. Please, do stop by when you have the time, Master. Julie will be glad to see you. Of course. Ah, one last thing. If your new hand starts giving you any trouble, it might be faster for you to show it to Cliff directly, rather than coming to me. Got it. With that, the two of us left Zenoba's rooms behind. As we walked down the chilly corridors of the university, a creaking sound echoed off the walls. It was coming from my new prosthesis. I was actively experimenting with how much magic I could safely feed it. Every time I opened and closed my hand, it emitted an audible squeak. I suppose it wasn't reasonable to expect a prototype to be designed with silent operation in mind. Is that prosthesis a magical implement, Rudy? She asked Roxy, looking down at my clay-colored hand. That's right. It's apparently the product of some serious research and development on Zenoba's part. It's very impressive work. I have to say, it seems to be capable of very precise movements. Yeah, it's really something, given how well it works. I think I'll be able to get by fine just fine from now on, even without having you all around all the time. Oh, right. I suppose so. For some reason, Roxy's face took a slightly downcast expression. I'm sorry, Rudy. I suppose I wasn't taking your situation into account. I was so eager to become a teacher, I didn't even think about the trouble it might cause you. What? You mean with my missing hand? It's not that big a deal, really. Having Roxy around had been a big help, but it wasn't like I'd ask her to take on a role as my personal assistant. Obviously, I wanted her to put her own plans first. For one thing, there were plenty of other people in my life who were willing to help me out when necessary. Not that I was actually going to say that, since it would sound like I was calling Roxy replaceable. In any case, I'm certainly glad you have a left hand again. Yep, now I can touch you twice as often. I reached out and stroked Roxy's shoulders gently in my artificial hand. I could feel her warmth and the softness of her body, even through her robe. Apparently this thing was sensitive to temperature as well. It really was well made. I kept caressing Roxy for a lengthy period of time, but she accepted it without complaint. Anyway, I want to introduce you to everyone. Mind coming with me for a while? Of course. Roxy nodded, looking a little nervous. For the rest of the afternoon, I went around the campus introducing Roxy to my friends and acquaintances. We had to see Linnea, Prasanna, Ariel, Luke, and Anahoshi. I've been planning to visit Cliff as well, but I heard passionate moans from inside his laboratory when we approached, and decided to come back some other time. The reactions we got were widely varied. Linnea and Prasanna responded in a particularly amusing way. The moment they got a whiff of Roxy's scent, they both twitched to attention with looks of fear on their faces. As they stood there meekly with their tails between their legs, I introduced Roxy as my beloved teacher. They promptly bowed their heads to her. I guess beast folk are quick to recognize people they really shouldn't mess with. Their instincts were right on the money this time. Ariel and Luke, on the other hand, were surprisingly oblivious. Excuse me. When I showed up to say hello, the first words out of Ariel's mouth were, "I see you remembered to stop by after your trip, at least." She didn't seem genuinely upset, but she did explain that she could have offered me assistance if I'd come to see her before leaving. Considering that my inadequate preparations had ended up costing me dearly, hearing that left me a little shamefaced. I ended up apologizing for my oversight. Putting that aside, though, when I got around to introducing Roxy, the two of them stared at her in blank surprise, then turned to look at each other. They were obviously surprised that such a young magician would be taking on a role in the faculty here. Still, Ariel was a princess, with all the diplomatic skills that implied. She greeted Roxy very politely, without any hint of confusion in her voice. The woman's self-control was impressive. We found Anahoshi looking somewhat the worse for wear. She might have caught a cold or something, since she was coughing like crazy. When she saw my face, she smiled in relief and muttered, "Now we can get the research back on track." When I introduced Roxy and explained that she would be teaching at the university from now on, her response was a disinterested, "I see." This struck me as a little too curt, so I took the time to elaborate on Roxy's many virtues and talents. Sadly, Nanahoshi just grimaced and called me a cradle robber. I suppose it was too much to expect that an ordinary high school girl could grasp Roxy's greatness. At this point, I was getting around to evening, and we'd stop by everyone I wanted to visit. Just as I thought, or I was about to suggest we head home, though, Roxy spoke up with a slightly disgruntled expression on her face. "Rudy?" Yes, Roxy? "I'm very happy you're taking the time to introduce me to your friends, but I feel like you're being a bit excessive in your praise of me." "Really? It wasn't intentional, I assure you." "Are you serious?" "Well, as far as I'm concerned, no words I could offer would possibly be sufficient to capture how wonderful you are, or to really capture how wonderful you are. I thought I was selling you a little short, if anything." Frowning, Roxy jabbed a finger up at me. "Okay, there you go again. Are you teasing me or something, Rudy?" "Don't be ridiculous. My respect and admiration for you is as real as it gets. Oh, for crying out loud. You know, whenever you start calling me teacher, I can't help feeling like you're just messing with me. Roxy paused to let out a long sigh. I honestly thought my opinion of her was perfectly justified, but it seems she found it somewhat overblown. Putting all that aside, though, you introduced me to quite a few of your friends and told them I was your teacher, but you didn't mention once that I was your wife. Oh, just like that, I realized how badly I'd screwed this up. This might this might not even be something I could fix at this point. Roxy was perfectly right. She wasn't Roxy McGurdia anymore. She was Roxy M. Greyrat now. I'd introduced her that way to everyone, of course, and she repeated it when she made her greetings. I guess a part of me had assumed that was enough. That it was perfectly obvious we were married. At the very least, I was confident someone as sharp as Ariel would have figured it out. Still, that was no excuse. Roxy had every right to be furious. I suppose I'd wanted to emphasize her greatness more than anything else, and a part of me still thought she was far too good to be married to the likes of me. But she clearly wanted me to introduce her as my wife. This was an unforgivable blunder on my part. Roxy was my second wife, yes, but that didn't make her any less my wife. We'd be spending the rest of our lives together, maybe even having children. I'm so sorry, Roxy, sweetheart. But you know how much I love you, right? How can I make it up to you? Want me to go introduce myself to your parents? Uh, no. I don't think that's necessary. It's a long trip, after all. We'll get to it eventually. Eventually? Hopefully Rowan and Rokari were doing well over in the Demon Continent. Now that I was married to Roxy, they were my in-laws. I owed them for the assistance they'd given me many years ago, too. I kind of wanted to make the time to go and see them. If he plotted a route through a couple of the teleportation circles, he might be able to make it there in 2 months or so, but... Alright then, we'll have to make the chime one of these days. There's no need to rush things. Once everything's settled down, maybe we could take the entire family out to say hello to them. Pushing the thought back to the back of my mind, I headed home with my new wife at my side. Legends of University Number 1. The boss can fire his hand like a rocket. Excuse me. Chapter 2, Year 3. The first day of my third year at the university had arrived. When I woke up and came down to the living room, I found Sylphie already there breastfeeding Lucy. Oh, good morning, Rudy. Morning, Sylphie. Lucy was still only a few months old, but she seemed to be strong and healthy so far. Sylphie was doing well too. The only difference was I felt like she'd grown more feminine somehow. Maybe it was the way she let her hair grow out, or the whole new mother aura, or just the fact she'd gotten a little older. Whatever the case might be, she was blossoming into a Hollywood-style beauty. She could sit silently on the sofa, doing nothing in particular, and it still felt like she was posing for a portrait. Sometimes I would even hesitate to speak to her. I was so awestruck. Still, when I did get her attention, she was the same Sophie I knew and loved, eager for attention and affection. That was always reassuring. Lucy's full of energy again today, she said, smiling up at me. I looked down at our baby, who was currently sucking furiously away at my wife's breast. She was going at it just as vigorously as I did in bed, like father, like daughter. Lucy was a healthy baby, but she was a little bit on the quiet side. She didn't cry much at all. For a while, I was anxious that she might be sick or have some sort of physical problem. Whenever I raised the subject, though, Sophie just smiled and called me a worrywart. I didn't remember being so jumpy back when my siblings were born, but I guess it's different when the baby is your own child. Despite my concerns, Lucy had been growing steadily and staying healthy. She was still on the quiet side for a baby her age, but her body seemed sturdy enough. Once when Lilia was looking at my calm little daughter, she observed, "She reminds me of you at that age, Master Rudius." That gave me a start, obviously. The word reincarnation flashed through my mind. I was a pretty crappy person in my previous life, to be honest. The idea made me worried. What if Lucy was the reincarnation of some good-for-nothing moron from Japan? The idea kept gnawing away at me for a while. Ultimately, I resorted to speaking to my baby daughter in Japanese and English to see how she reacted. Anyone who happened to walk by would have seen me muttering to my newborn child things like, "You figured it out by now, huh? This is a parallel universe." And, "You are my sunshine. I am a pen." I'm sure it must have been a comical sight. I remember Aisha snickering at me from the shadows. My methods weren't exactly the best, but I came away thinking that my daughter probably wasn't anyone's reincarnation. When I talked to her, all she'd do was smile and babble incoherently. It was possible she was just hiding her true nature, of course, but I don't know how many grown-ups could keep up a perfect imitation of a baby for this long. And even if that was the case, it was kind of cute in its own way to imagine somebody desperately pretending to be an infant. Yeah, one way or another, Lucy was definitely cute. I could sit next to her cradle all day without ever getting bored of watching her. All in all, I didn't really care if she was somebody's reincarnation. I was going to take good care of her either way. Paul had done the same for me, after all. Our daughter's are as adorable as ever, I see. Or, sorry. Yeah. No kidding. Why is she so cute anyway? Or, oh, sorry. This is the other way around. Our daughter's as adorable as ever, I see. No kidding. Why is she so cute anyway? Probably takes after her mom. Slipping my arms over Sophie's shoulders from behind, I hugged her gently to me. I lowered my head as if to deliver a kiss to the back of her head, but then kept going and buried my face in her hair. She smelled faintly of milk. It was sort of like a natural perfume. Thanks, Rudy. Rubbing her face against my hand, Sophie smiled shyly, and then she spotted Roxy standing behind me. Hello there, Roxy. How was Rudy last night? Roxy twitched in surprise. Uh, oh, he was very attentive. Really? I know he can get pretty rough at times. He didn't scare you or anything. No, not really. It was the second time after all, and he was gentle with, sorry, maybe I shouldn't be saying this. You don't have to have anything to apologize for. I don't. Nope. The two of them were still a little awkward with each other, but at least there wasn't any hostility between them. You could tell they were trying to be respectful and considerate. That told me they wanted to make this work. A three-way relationship like this wasn't as simple as a monogamous one. It was probably going to take some effort on all our parts. In particular, we would be leaning on Sophie a lot. Her open-mindedness was the only thing that even made this arrangement possible. I got back on my word to her and taken Roxy on as a second wife. She would have been just justified in slapping me in the face with my divorce papers. Breakfast, time to get some breakfast. At this point, Aisha strode into the living room singing to herself. It was a crappy song, to be honest. Maybe she made it up on the spot. I guess even geniuses have their weak points. Good morning, Rudius. Good morning, Miss Sophie and Miss Roxy. Today's breakfast is pretty much the same as always. She was carrying white bread, green soup, and warm horse milk. In this region, it was traditional for new mothers to drink plenty of that. Supposedly helped them breastfeed. That won't do, Aisha. Tell everyone what you're serving. Lily had entered the room behind her daughter. Apparently she'd been in the kitchen as well. We have potato and gnocchi bean soup, served with white bread and highly nutritious horse milk, Aisha rattled off obediently. Of course, we knew this already, since it was what we ate more or less every morning, but I guess there was some value in keeping up little formalities. Very good, said Lilia, nodding in satisfaction. Please wait just a moment, everyone. With that, she headed up to the second floor. Thank you for your patience. A few moments later, she returned with Zenith in tow. My mother stepped into the living room, paused to stare at me, and then silently headed over to her usual seat at the table. Good morning, Mom. Months had passed at this point, but Zenith's memories hadn't returned to her. However, she was changing in small, noticeable ways. In particular, she acted very differently when Norn was around. She'd stroke her daughter's head or try to feed her from her own plate, that sort of thing, almost like she thought the girl was only 2 or 3 years old. Norn seemed unsettled by this at times, but she accepted Zenith's attentions. I don't know exactly what the girl was thinking. I had to assume she had very mixed feelings about it, though. She was still at the age where it was natural for a girl to be attached to her mother, or getting ready to rebel against her. Either way, it's a period of your life where your relationship with your parents feels very important. Still, Norn understood Zenith's condition, and she was clearly trying to put her mother's feelings before her own. I never would have expected that kind of maturity from her a few years ago, but I guess people do change. It was hard to know what any of it really meant on Zenith's end, though. Did she really, or did she just feel a connection to her daughter on some instinctive level, or was she slowly starting to regain pieces of her memory? For the moment, it seemed best to just wait and see what happened. Okay, everyone, let's eat. We all ate our breakfast together. Sophie was seated on my right and Roxy on my left. On the other side of the table were Aisha, Lilia, and Zenith in that order. Norn would have been sitting next to her mother, but she wasn't there today. I didn't remember anyone actively working it out, but we'd somehow arrived at the seating arrangement anyway. I'm sure you remember, but I'll be back at the university I'm sure you remember, but I'll be back at the university starting today. Take good care of Lucy for me, okay? Of course, Miss Sophiette. Oh, that was her, okay. Leave everything to us. Sophie and I would be returning to our classes as students starting today. Lilia and Aisha would be taking care of our child while we were away from the house. Lucy was still an infant, though. She couldn't survive without access to her mommy's breasts. Wait, did that make me an infant, too? Putting that aside for the moment, we decided to hire a wet nurse. It was a lady named Suzanne who lived in the neighborhood, a former adventurer and a mother of 2. She was an old acquaintance of mine, but no need to get into that right now. Thanks for the food. It was time for me to get my 3rd year at the university started. Yo! Morning, sir. Good to see you back at it. The moment we set foot inside the campus, student I didn't recognize started coming up to say their hellos to me. They were rough-looking types, so they were all really, or oddly respectful. Maybe I was projecting an aura of authority these days. I guess I was a father and the head of a household now, come to think of it, not that I felt any different. Hey, boss! As I was reflecting on all this, the most dangerous-looking student of all appeared for us. Good morning, boss! Oh, morning to you, too, Fitz and Miss Roxy. Oh, sorry, this is fucking... it's them. Good morning, boss! Oh, morning to you, too, Fitz and Miss Roxy. It was Linnea and Persenna, of course. Those two were in their final year as students now, but they hadn't changed much at all. Linnea was still strutting around arrogantly, and Persenna was gnawing on something that looked like ham even as she spoke to us. Aren't you a lucky guy, boss? Strutting into school with a girl on either side. Where'd you get off on dumping us and picking up a second wife anyway? Fucking unfair is what it is. We're graduating this year, you know. Guess we gotta grab ourselves someone too. Yeah, it all comes down to this. Gotta get us a man before we head home. They seemed genuinely worked up. Felt like they were envious of me. Not my wives, mind you, but me. Deep down, the two of them clearly wanted to be leading a pack of their own. It was that Decepticon mindset at work again. Good luck, you two, offered Sophie with a pleasant smile. It was a teasing, responsible woman who had some confidence in her own position. I was a little surprised, honestly. Then again, Sophie had known these two far longer than me. I guess it made sense that she'd be comfortable dealing with them. Roxy, on the other hand, seemed to have taken their words at face value. She dipped her head to them with an apologetic expression. I'm sorry about this. I suppose I cut my place in line, didn't I? Yeah? Huh? Linnea and Persenna were naturally taken aback by this. Yeah, that's okay. We didn't really mean it that way, you know? Yeah, we're just mad at our lack of fucking sex appeal. We're not dissing you, Miss Roxy. All of a sudden, the two of them were apologizing frantically to Roxy. She was more than worthy of such deference, of course, but it was still almost creepy how desperate they were. I'd sort of been expecting these two to say something like, we're way sexier than that little shrimp you, or you fucking married a demon. To be honest, not that I would have tolerated such disrespect. After their apologies were over, the two of them sympathetically patted Sophie on the shoulders. This must be tough for you too, right? Hang in there, Fitz. Won't be easy keeping up with her, but I know you can do it. Sophie blinked, looking a little nonplussed. Huh? Better get your second going ASAP. Yeah, gotta maintain that lead. What? Sophie paused for a moment to think, then murmured, oh, her face taking on a slightly awkward expression. Rudy's still showing me plenty of love, you know? Linnea and Persenna reacted to this by sniffing loudly in exaggerated sympathy. Ah, the poor sweet kid. I'm tearing up here. Come on, Fitz. The quiet type like you is obviously going to fade in the background once Boss picks up number 3 and 4, right? This is so sad. Wow, listen to those jerks go. I wasn't planning on adding any more wives to my family as it happened. And even if I did, I wasn't going to start neglecting Sophie for any reason. She put her body on the line to help me out. I was never, ever going to forget that. Not that I'd repaid her too well so far, what with the Roxy thing and all. Huh? That's not true. Right, Rudy? I couldn't make out Sophie's expression underneath her sunglasses, but her voice sounded anxious. I needed to step up and give her some reassurance. Of course it isn't. I leaned over and pulled her into a big hug. Rubbing her back affectionately, I took a deep breath and prepared to express my feelings. It was probably best to make things clear here and now with lots of witnesses around. I love you, Sophie! This faithful or forceful declaration earned a round of applause from a number of random bystanders. Sophie blushed furiously and wriggled around inside my arms. Rudy, come on! This isn't the place or the time! Oh, really? You're the one who asked me for reassurance. Well, if you want to make a big gesture, you ought to do the same for Roxy, too. Fair enough. I glanced over at Roxy. That's not really necessary. I'm all right. She was looking up at me with something like expectation in her eyes. Without any further hesitation, I embraced Roxy in my left arm, keeping Sophie pressed against me with my right. Ah, what bliss. I had a wife on both sides now. I love both of you! This time I got a chorus of boos from some of the onlooking students. They were probably members of the Millis Church or something. Whatever, your laws don't apply to me. I am the law. In any case, all the public attention was getting to be a bit much for Sophie. Her face was as red as a tomato. Oh, good grief. I'm going to meet up with Princess Ariel now, all right? Sure. See you at lunchtime, Sophie. It fits while we're at the university, remember? Oh, right. The whole bit had slipped my hand entirely, or my mind entirely. I hadn't attended classes here in nearly a year, so I guess I just forgotten. To be honest, though, I didn't feel like there was that much of a point in Kurt continuing the charade. Or the charade. She was just too pretty these days to be convincing as a boy. Well, whatever. She was cute either way, and it was her call now what she wanted to present herself as. I suppose I'll be heading to the faculty offices myself then, said Roxy after we watched Sophie trot away. Hey, good luck on your first day, Roxy. Oh, that reminds me. You should really call me Professor Roxy while we're on the school grounds. True. Got to keep our personal and professional lives separate. Fine with me, of course, but more importantly, Roxy really was a professor today, wasn't she? That was kind of spicy. Found myself thinking back to last night. Wonder how late they let you borrow the keys to the PE storage shed. At this point, I abruptly remembered something that felt important. Professor Roxy? Yes, Rudius, said Roxy, looking at me with a calm professional smile. This is the first day of the new term, right? Doesn't the faculty have an early meeting or anything? Ugh. All the color that drained from her face, that probably wasn't a good sign. Sorry, but I need to go now. Now! Excuse me. Within seconds, she rushed off toward the faculty office and disappeared into the crowd. I guess we hadn't really thought through our timing. A faculty member wasn't going to be operating on the same schedule as a mere student, of course. Well, okay then. Let's get going too, guys. We're with you, boss. For my part, I headed off to the special classroom, my loyal underlings in tow. We had a mandatory homeroom today. Both my wives had disappeared for the day, but somehow I still had two cute girls on my side, meaning my popular days had come at last. Not that I was going to lay a hand on Lenny and Percent or anything. It's tough being a man sometimes. Oh yeah, that reminds me. There's a rumor going around about you, boss. Linnea turned and faced me, her ears pricking straight up. I could see the curiosity sparkling in her eyes. Really? Yep, they're saying you fought a really epic battle. So epic you lost your left hand. Come to think of it, all I told these two was I made it back from my journey, and that Roxy would be teaching at the university. Zenoa was the only friend I'd gone into any of the details with at this point. Had he spread the word around then? Or maybe it was Cliff. Probably heard the whole story from Lane Elise after all. That's our boss for you, Mew. Flies off to the demon continent to fight one of the 7 great powers and sacrifice his own hand to win. What? What? Or what? Where did that 7 great powers thing come from? Or what did that 7 great powers thing come from? Your opponent had to scuttle away in shame. Am I right? Way to go. Wait. Slow down for a second, Linnea. This was just bizarre. How the hell had that rumor gotten this twisted around? I really didn't appreciate it. What if it circulated enough that everyone started actually believing I'm beating down one of the 7 great powers? What if one of the powers heard that rumor? What if it was the number 2 on that list? A guy by the name of Orsted? Well, that was the story we just came up with now anyway. Don't worry, I'll make sure to spread it all around. Before Linnea could finish her sentence, I grabbed her by the tail and given her a ferocious yank. She flashed out at me with her claws extended, but I evaded her swipes away using my demon eye. After a few failed attempts, she pressed her hand against her butt and glared up at me with tears in her eyes. What was the app for? Don't yank on a lady's tail. I glared right back at her. Don't spread any exaggerated rumors around. You got that? I'll pull that thing right off you. Huh? Got it. I'm sorry. These two had a history of rumor mongering. They'd spread word of my problems in bed all around campus, which I could forgive them for, since it was true at the time after all, but this was a different case entirely. It could cause me real problems. I might even end up dead. That was the kind of rumor you needed to nip in the bud. At this point, Percenta butted into the conversation. We heard about what happened from Zenoba. You fought a Hydra that was immune to magic, right? He was saying saying he should have been there. I thought he could have kept you from getting hurt. That's right, Mew. But we were just impressed you managed to even beat that thing. So I was figuring we could make sure everyone knows how badass you are. Thanks, but no thanks. I'd definitely gotten a bit stronger over the years, but when it really mattered, I still came up painfully short. I didn't want people getting an inflated opinion of me. I didn't deserve it. But boss, even if we don't say nothing, people are already making stuff up. Everyone can see you got an artificial hand now. She's right, Mew. It won't make much of a difference if we throw our story out there, too. I was apparently a semi-notorious figure around campus, so it was probably inevitable that people would speculate. Still, I wanted to keep the 7 great powers out of this. That was dangerous territory. I still had a very vivid memory of the day Orsted nearly killed me. What other rumors have you heard going around? There's a whole bunch. Let me see. Linnea proceeded to rattle off a range of stories. Some were saying I battled a spurred warrior to the death. Others said I faced down a horde of 100 monsters alone. Still others claimed that I had successfully cast a Forbidden Ancient spell, but lost my hand in the process. None of them sounded particularly credible, or so I had to assume they'd disappear for too long. Come to think of it, the 7 great powers were probably used to having people invent nonsensical stories about them, too. They were incredibly famous for their prowess in battle. Maybe they wouldn't pay any mind to some silly story bouncing around a university, even if they somehow caught wind of it. Well, alright. Sorry about the tale. You human folk can't begin to understand how much that freaking hurts. It's unforgivable to yank a lady's tail. Fine, fine. I'll buy you some fish one of these days, okay? Yeah, sweet. I should try complaining more often. Make mine meat instead. The three of us headed down the hallway once again. Our homeroom was the same as ever. The father five sat in a loose group centered around my desk. Zenobo was playing with his figurines, his loyal assistant Julie at his side. Linnea was busy following her claws, Priscilla was chomping on some meat, and Cliff was earnestly studying some thick book. There was also Ginger, who was standing quietly in the back of the room, although she wasn't really a student. It had been a long time since I was in this classroom, but everything felt immediately familiar. It was hard to imagine we'd be losing two of our number in just a year, assuming Linnea and Priscilla managed to graduate, of course. By the way, Rudius, Cliff looked up from his book and shot me a look. Is there a reason you didn't stop by to say hello to me along with all the others? I could understand the grumpiness. I hadn't gone around to seeing him. Sorry about that, Cliff. I did stop by your place right after I got back, but it sounded like you and Alita Elise were otherwise occupied. I see. I suppose I was with her all that evening, yes. All right, never mind then. My apologies. Cliff backed down quickly enough, fortunately, but even so, I was starting to get the sense that people on the spectrum of society were really particular about these sort of formalities. Ariel had been disgruntled by the way I left without a word, too. Back when I was an adventurer, everyone was a lot more casual about this stuff. However, your first child's been born, yeah? You could have gotten in touch about that at least. I'm still in training, but I could have offered her the blessing at least. Yeah, I guess. Right. You don't belong to the Millis Church, so I suppose that's not necessary. Still, it almost feels like you've been avoiding me. I'm sure you're busy with your child, but couldn't you have found at least the time to drop by my laboratory at least once? He had a point. Maybe I'd been avoiding him. There was a reason for that, though. A reason named Roxy. I had two wives now, and Cliff was a devout member of the Millis Church. Probably wasn't going to react too favorably to the news. Is there some reason you didn't want to see me, maybe? If so, I'd like to hear it from you personally, if you don't mind. He was being weirdly tenacious about this today. I get the feeling Lane and Lisa had already filled him in. Knowing her, she'd probably worked him over a little, too. I could see her saying something like, I know you're passionate about your faith, Cliff, but if you forgive him for his trespasses, you'll show everyone just how tolerant and kind you are. Of course, I didn't need Cliff's forgiveness or permission to marry Roxy. That didn't mean I wanted to ruin our friendship either. I was probably better off playing along here. I could confess the truth, let Cliff forgive me, and then compliment his open-mindedness at length. He'd get his ego stroked, and we'd put the matter behind us. It was a win-win, really. Okay, then. I guess I'll dance on your strings, Elise. Actually, Cliff... Pardon me. Sorry. Oh, yeah, it is. Actually, Cliff... Pardon me. Before I could finish my sentence, though, someone had opened the door to our classroom. Two people stepped inside. One of them was the professor in charge of our class, who usually ran our homerooms. The other was an adorable young lady in a robe, with sleepy eyes and a serious expression, who looked slightly nervous. The sort of girl who obviously did her very best at all times, and you couldn't help wanting a hug. But which, I mean, it was Roxy. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce you to the new assistant professor who will be helping me with the special class. Nice to meet you, said Roxy, taking a step forward and bowing her head slightly. I'm Roxy M. Greyrat. Zenoba and the others just stared in surprise, but our professor forged right ahead. Professor Roxy may look quite young, but that's simply a trait of her particular people. She's actually over 50 years old. It seems she has some personal connection to some of you, so we decided to place her for here. For the moment, she'll be acting as my assistant, but we intend to have her take over the class entirely as of next year. Eh? What's going to happen to you, Professor Sampson? The professor nodded at this question. Apparently his name was Samson. That was news to me. It was almost impressive what a non-entity he was. I'll be headed back to my homeland next year. I no longer have a relative to look after in this class, after all. Oh yeah, where did Ren go after she graduated anyway? My little sister's serving as a magic knight back in the Duchy of Neris. It sounds like she's doing quite well for now, but there's no telling what she'll get up to if I'm not around to keep an eye on her. Oh, gotcha. I'd only learn about all this later, but apparently it was common for the special class advisor to be an instructor with some personal connection to one or more of the students. Probably had something to do with how unpredictable they were. You'd want someone who could control them a little, or at least serve as the voice of restraint. Professor Sampson, who had been in charge of us up until now, was the brother of a student who graduated the year before Clifton rode here. She was part of the ducal family of Neris, one of the three magic nations, and supposedly had a remarkable talent for magic. In any case, Roxy had personal connections with both me and Zenoba. She was essentially a perfect choice for the job. Stepping forward again, Roxy looked around the room and then began to speak. I know I've already been introduced to some of you, but once again, my name is Roxy M. Greyrat. I'm the second wife of Rudius Greyrat over there. I'll try not to let that influence my actions as a professor, but I hope you'll be understanding. Cliff was pouting at this point. He probably wanted to hear the second wife thing from me directly. That way, he could have accepted the situation gracefully and earned my gratitude. But now his plans were ruined. But now his plans are ruined. Cliff? A second wife, is it? Is the word faithful not part of your vocabulary, Rudius? When I spoke to him, immediately jumped into lecture mode. I know. I admit I proved myself lacking in the loyalty department. I blessed your marriage to Sophie because you told me you loved her, and only her. You do remember that, don't you? Of course, and I'm very grateful to you. Well, I suppose I knew from the start that you don't share my faith. I won't press the point any further. For what it's worth, you have my congratulations. I hope you're happy together. Thanks, Cliff. Cliff snorted at that. You know, I've run into your sister Norn in the city several times. She told me she hoped to have a happy marriage like yours someday. Did she say anything to you when you brought your second wife home? I wonder. She was very upset with me. I would expect so. She'd been praying at church nearly every day for your safe return, and your father's. Ordinarily, your homecoming should have been a joyous occasion for her. But in the end, she did forgive me. Well, of course she did. She must have been afraid you'd kick her out of your house if she fought you too stubbornly. I wouldn't do that to her, no matter what. Of course, I know you wouldn't. But put yourselves in the shoes of the more vulnerable party here. The girl had just lost her father. You're the only person she could depend on now, you see. I think you really ought to try to be more considerate of her feelings as a family. You're right. Also, taking on new partners is only going to make your relationships more complicated. Women aren't objects to be collected, you know. Man, he was hitting me where it hurt here. It felt like I was getting grilled by a stern old priest or something. Man could be intense when he wanted to. Right. Cliff? What is it, Rudius? Still, there had been one part of his story that was brand new to me, and I owed him some gratitude. You were keeping an eye on Norn while I was away, weren't you? Thanks. I appreciate that. I noticed her in the church one day, so we started talking a little, that's all. Oh, and on that note, you shouldn't be letting a girl that young wander around town so freely. This area is safe enough, but I heard of kidnappers lurking in the back alleys. You're right. I'll be more careful. Very well, then. It seems you're appropriately repentant, yeah. So I suppose I'll forgive you for your mistakes. St. Millis taught us to be lenient, after all. Appreciate it, Cliff. Well, I'd been forgiven. Maybe this had been a confession rather than a conversation. Still, the man made a lot of good points. I was definitely feeling bad about how I treated Norn now. I have to be twice as kind to her from now on. It seems like we're done with our personal discussions, yes? Let's proceed to the notices from the university, then. With Cliff's lecture at an end, Professor Sampson delicately got home on her way again. Roxy had been standing at his side the whole time, looking supremely uncomfortable. I blew her a kiss, which earned me a small laugh, followed by a scowl of disapproval. For the next little while, my life proceeded along with old familiar lines. I checked in on Zenova and Cliff regularly, dropped in to help Nanahoshi with her research, and used my free hours to work on my book or study the magic-absorbing stones I brought back from my last trip. As always, I had a lot to occupy my time with. I was kind of nostalgic for the days when I could devote an entire day to a single task, or maybe two. One thing that did change was the way I'd use my time immediately after classes ended. Previously, I'd been helping Nora with her studies, but now I was training her to use a sword instead. I was a little worried this might change or might have a negative effect on her academic results, but she promised she'd work hard to stay on track, so I was willing to give her a chance. I felt best to let her pursue the things she was passionate about while she was most motivated. For the moment, I'm not going to get too deeply in any of that. Once I was ready to leave the campus, I'd find both Sylphie and Roxy, and we'd head home together. When Sylphie had a night shift, it was just me and Roxy, and when Roxy had a faculty meeting in the evening, it was just me, or sometimes just me. Now and then, Norm would come along too. On one particular evening, I found myself heading back with only Sylphie. We held hands as we strolled along and talked, mainly about recent events in the University of Magic. Apparently, the student council was going to be taking a new member or two on this term. You should really join too, Rudy. Don't think I have spare time, sorry. It wasn't much of a conversation, but we were enjoying each other's company. Not too blatantly, of course. We were in public. We're home. The moment I stepped inside the door, Aisha jumped forward and threw her arms around me. Welcome back, Rudius. Would you like dinner? Or a bath? Or maybe me? Where did she learn that line? What a cliche. Oh, wait. Had I taught it to her? No. I remember teaching it to Sylphie, but not my own little sister. Declaring you, I proceeded to mercilessly tickle Aisha's armpits until she fled, cackling with laughter, and I received a chop to the head from Lilia. After this little interlude, I headed straight to the bath. Aisha had included on her list of options, but I wasn't ready and waiting for me or anything. They were still working on dinner too. In other words, you was the only actual option on available. Oh well, whatever. Fortunately, Aisha always cleaned the bath for us during the day, so all I had to do was get the water running. I didn't take many baths on my own these days. At some point, we started using it two at a time. It was almost an unspoken rule at this point. I never really heard of any custom line like that or of a custom like that before, but whatever. Today, Aisha followed me into the bath. The girl was already 11 years old, but she still seemed to lack any sense of shame. If she ever got into a conversation with a hormonal young boy, the poor kid would probably get the wrong idea within minutes. I keep telling you to cover up with a towel when you're coming into the bath, Aisha. Why? It's just polite. Okay. In this respect, at least, I was starting to wish Aisha could learn from her sister. Still, it was nice having a little sister. She liked to wriggle her way between my legs and demand that I wash her back and rinse off her head, and it was very cute. Good thing she was my sister and also just a scrawny little kid, or I might have ended up with another wife on my hands. If Sylphie or Roxy ever tried the same stunt, I was confident I'd lose my self-control within seconds. Not that I really need to control myself in that situation. Anyway, I settled in to enjoy some pleasant family bonding time with my sister. The two of us washed each other off while Aisha told me about the events of the day. These are mostly trivial little things. Lucy had done something adorable. Zenith had helped out with the wedding. Lilia had dozed off next to a window, planted something new in her garden, that sort of stuff. Oh, that reminded me. I'd entrusted that seed rice I got my hands on to Aisha, so I asked her if she could manage to grow it. She had promised me to give it a shot once the weather got a little warmer. The kid was a genius, so I was feeling optimistic that I'd have my own supply or private supply of rice before too long. I was really looking forward to it. By the time we got out of the bath, Roxy was just getting home, so we moved straight to dinner. Today we had a freshwater fish stew, bread, beans, and potatoes. Same as always, more or less. After the meal, I watched intently as Lucy suckled furiously at Sophie's breast. Considering how quiet our baby was, she sure had a big appetite. It was hard to imagine Sophie's daughter growing up too chubby, but I had to make sure she got some exercise once she was big enough. For a while after dinner, we relaxed as a family. Taught Aisha a little magic, and Roxy headed up to her room to prepare for tomorrow's classes. Sophie was busy attending to Lucy, but sometimes she made the time to practice her own little her own magic a little. Dillo, our pet armadillo, wandered over to me, so I gave him some attention. Yes, finally. I love Dillo. Incidentally, Aisha was responsible for taking care of him. She trained him more thoroughly, and he was starting to act more like a royal guard dog than anything else. All right, then. I think it's time we go to bed. Good night, everyone. Lilia and Zenith were usually the first to turn in for the night. Night. Aisha went to bed early as well, though. Once I was done with her tutoring session, she usually went straight to sleep. Well then, you ready, Sylphie? And after the house fell silent, I invited my wife to our bedroom. Yes, she answered, blushing and lightly gripping the sleeve of my shirt. Naturally, this was more than enough to spur me in action. Picking her up, I carried her princess style up to our bed. After that, well, we enjoyed our private time. Mentally and physically fulfilled, I fell into a deep, solid sleep with my wife in my arms. Just after a few moments before that, though, I'd slipped quietly out of bed, carefully not to wake Sylphie. I tiptoed my way down to the basement as quietly as I possibly could. Once I was there, I glanced behind me cautiously several times before opening a certain hidden door. Inside, I placed a small altar. My holy idols were enshrined there. To the uninitiated, they might have looked like nothing more than small bundles of cloth, but I knew that the divine spirits of Roxy and Sylphie dwelt within them. Tonight, like every other night, I offered out my prayers of gratitude. Legends of the University Number 2, and the boss can make his eyes light up. Chapter 3, Training with Norn. Another month had passed. It was still cold out, but the snow was starting to melt. You could actually see patches of the ground here and there. One morning, I got out of bed as silently as possible, trying not to wake Sylphie. She liked to use my arm as a pillow, so it always took some finesse to extract myself. Heading over to the side room, I changed into my draining wear, a lined outfit that looked a bit like a sweatsuit. Sylphie had picked it out for me. It was a little light for winter weather, but when you were exercising, it felt just about right. Once I got dressed, I picked up a stone sword that I had left lying in a corner of the room. It was a thick, crude-looking thing. I made it myself with my earth magic. There was no actual edge to the blade, but it was unusually heavy. I made it a good way to practice with the strength of my new artificial left hand. I was actually starting to get a little attached to the thing. Maybe I'd give it a little name or a name one of these days, something like tuna or swordfish. Come to think of it, I hadn't eaten anything like sashimi since my arrival in this world. Nobody here eat fish raw or what? Once I was ready, I gently patted my sleeping wife on the head, silently mouthing words, "See you later." Her eyes still closed, Sylphie smiled happily and rubbed her head against my hand. I guess she was half awake. It was pretty adorable, needless to say. Glancing down, I noticed that the covers were a little tangled, leaving her underwear-clad bottom exposed. I gave that a gentle patting, too. You never think this girl was already a mother, but then again, Alina Lee still had a good figure, too. Maybe it was genetic. After a moment's hesitation, I pulled the sheets back over Sylphie. We've been getting back to our normal nighttime activities lately, but it felt a little early trying too hard for a second child, so I was trying to be a little more restrained, even though there was no guarantee it wouldn't happen anyway. As I left the room, Sophie called out to me sleepily. See you later. Be back soon. Next, I headed to Norn's room. These days, she'd be joining me in my morning training. When she was staying at the house, we do it in the yard, but she was staying at the dorm. I'd meet her in the courtyard there. Today was one of her days home. Ready, Norn? I knocked at the door and then started to open it. Yeah, Rudy! Whoops, sorry, me, or pardon me. She was still getting dressed, so I promptly closed it again. Norn's body still hadn't developed much. I liked slim, diminutive girls just fine, of course. My little sisters just didn't do anything for me. Sometimes I found that slightly regrettable, but it was for the best. It was nice that I could be affectionate with them without feeling dirty about it. Still, the thought that Norn would probably get married someday did inspire a vaguely uneasy feeling in the pit of my stomach. Maybe this is what a father felt like, or felt watching his daughter grow up. It wasn't so bad. I have to take Paul's place and berate her first boyfriend for her. I'm not giving Norn to a bum like you. Get lost. Honestly, what's the point of knocking if you don't wait for me to say something? As I was reflecting on all this, Norn emerged from her room in her exercise clothes, carrying a wooden sword in one hand. Her outfit was a plain functional thing with long sleeves at the top and bottom. It was a standard exercise gear from the university. I bought her a couple pairs from the school store. Glancing briefly past Norman into her room, I saw Paul's sword mounted high up on the wall. In my old world, she probably would have set up an altar with a picture of his face, but there weren't any cameras here. It was probable or possible somebody had created a magical tool capable of capturing the image, but if so, it wasn't in widespread use. Without photographs, people tend to use memories to remember those they'd lost. Norn, would you mind if I came into your room for a sec? Huh? That's fine, I guess. I stepped inside. The bedroom smelled a bit like its occupant, the way they do first thing in the morning. If I had dived into her bed and pressed my face against her wrinkled sheets, I could have filled my lungs with the scent of Norn, not that I was going to. Standing right in front of Paul's sword, I put my hands together. Dad, Norn and I are going to be training again this morning. Keep an eye on us so we don't get hurt too badly, will you? Once I was done with my little prayer, I bowed my head slightly. How would Paul have responded to this anyway? Maybe something like, "You'll never improve without a few injuries, you know." Or maybe just, "You better not let Norn get hurt, damn it." Glancing over, I found Norn kneeling next to me with her hands together in Millis style. I had a good view of the cute little whirl of her hair on top of her head. It didn't matter what Paul would have said, really. He wasn't here anymore. I had to play his role now. I had a responsibility to take care of Norn to the best of my abilities. She didn't have anyone else to turn to, after all. Okay, then. Want to get going? Yes. I'm ready, Rudius. The two of us headed out to begin another session. The regimen was simple enough. Calisthenic, running, and practice swings. I called this sword training, but at the moment, we really were just working out in the fundamentals. Over the last few months, I've been driving Norn hard to build up her basic stamina. When I say hard, though, I don't mean I had her doing the same routine as me. That would have been way too much for her to handle. I started her off at 1/5 my training regimen. Norn was only 11 years old, and she hadn't been too physically active prior to this, so there was only so much I could reasonably expect her to endure. While she did practice swings in the yard, I finished up my own upper body exercises. 25, 26. Swinging a sword at nothing in particular is a simple enough exercise, but that's part of the reason it takes some real willpower to keep going with it. Norn never quit halfway through. Or quit halfway, though. I was proud of her for that. She was tougher than she looked. 50. Okay, that's good. Nice work. Thanks, Rudius. Let's wash ourselves off and head back then. After training, the two of us headed into the bath together. Nora had an unfortunate tendency to trip and fall during her running sessions, which sometimes left her with scrapes or bruises on her knees. I made a habit of looking her over and cleaning them up with healing magic afterwards, sort of like kissing it to make it feel better, except it actually worked. Incidentally, Norn strongly objected to letting me see her naked, so she took these baths in her underwear and with a thin shirt on. I guess she was getting to that sensitive age. It was a pity she hadn't split that sense of modesty with Aisha. Of course, I always wore underwear in, too, to make Norn more comfortable. Still, sometimes I wondered how she'd react if I told her that some guys out there got more excited seeing a woman in a wet, semi-transparent shirt. Might be fun to see, but I was keeping the thought to myself. I didn't want her to banish me from bathing with her entirely. Big brother's got to maintain his dignity, too. As I was reflecting on this, Norn shot me a look and pouted slightly. It was just running and practice swings again today. When are you going to teach me how to use my sword? I already am. I'm not talking about just swinging it. I mean, you know, the stances, the techniques. So far, I've been instructing Norn on how to run and swing her sword. Running would build her stamina, and practice swings would build her strength. Until she worked on both those for a while, there was really no point in her learning techniques. That was how I'd figured it, at least. Let's see. The girl had been at it for months, though. She probably made some progress. I gave Norn a looking over. She had the slender body of a growing kid, but compared to when we were just getting started, the muscle in her arms and legs were somewhat more defined. It was hard to say that she was in shape at this point, but a little exertion probably wasn't going to cause her any injuries. Maybe it was about time I got around to teaching her the most basic stances. I guess you're right. We'll get started for real after school today, okay? What, really? All right. Having rinsed off our sweat, the two of us left the bathroom together. That evening, I met Norn at the University of Magic's third external training field, an exercise ground located near the edge of the campus. I already changed in my training wear. My sister was in her exercise gear as well, and she had already had her wooden sword in her hand. Her face was deadly serious. We didn't have the area to ourselves. There were a few robed students training nearby, and others who looked to be out for a walk. We'd also attracted a few spectators who were obviously curious as to why we were wearing our training clothes at this hour. Didn't matter if we had a crowd, though. Norn, we're going to start your real training as a swordswoman today. Yes, sir. The girl's face was shining with energy and enthusiasm. It was obvious how eager she was to learn real techniques. It had only been a few months since we started, but I guess the repetitive nature of our basic training had been wearing her down a little. Still, swinging a sword around in battle wasn't a game. You gotta get the fundamentals down first. Just so you know, I'm planning to be tough on you. All right, Norn said, nodding seriously. If we keep up at it, you might end up getting upset with me. You might even start thinking I hate you. That's how harsh I'm going to be. All right. To be honest, I don't want to make you hate me, but a half-hearted instructor gets a student hurt. If I took it easy on you in training and then you ended up getting killed in your first real fight, I'd never be able to face our dad in heaven. Nora had no real talent with the sword, certainly not compared to Eris at the same age, at least. I wouldn't say she was any worse than the average 11-year-old, but strength can only be measured in relative terms. When you're fighting someone one-on-one, the stronger combatant wins, and the weaker one dies. Losing isn't a valid option. For Nora to become capable of overcoming any actual threats, she needed to put in a lot of effort. I needed to train her hard, and she needed to learn a few tricks too. At some point, this might start making you miserable. You might get frustrated with your lack of progress. You might see someone with more talent quickly pass you by. There's going to come a day when you feel like quitting. I do know how that feels, for the record, and I couldn't really blame you or anyone else for giving up in the face of adversity. Norn scowled a little at that. Not surprising, really, from her perspective. It probably looked like I was supremely talented at anything I tried, and in this body, I really was very capable of all sorts of things. Even so, I'd lost many battles. More than once, I nearly died. In a sense, Paul had died because I wasn't strong enough. I wanted more than anything to keep Norn safe from that sort of danger. That said, I don't want you to give up on the sword, no matter what. If you do, I'll never teach it to you again, and I'll never let you use Dad's sword. As long as you keep at it, though, I won't give up on you either. Kind of a cheesy speech, I know. Was I even showing that kind of determination myself, come to think of it? Well, I'd given up on getting much better with the sword, but I had kept up with my training every morning. I wanted to believe I wasn't a total hypocrite. Do you understand, Norn? Yes, sir. I understand it completely. Norn's response was quick and forceful. She was looking up at me with flushed cheeks and determination in her eyes. I found myself wondering if I'd looked something like this to Paul back when I was little. Maybe Norn would end up following a similar path, leaving me behind and finding some other master to train her. Once I got her up to a beginner level, I could always send for Ghislaine or something, assuming I found out where the woman was. There was also that sword sanctum place off to the west. If I offered enough money, maybe I could lure a sword saint away to teach her for a while. Glad to hear it. We'll start off some running then. Huh? Aren't we training with a sword tonight? Yeah, of course. You're running with your sword in your hands this time. You have to carry it around everywhere on the battlefield, after all. I'm waiting for a reply. Sir! Yes, sir! Today our regiment would consist of running, a review of the 3 basic forms, and a brief sparring session. My intention was to give her a very hard time. She needed to understand this could be painful and scary stuff. I don't think pain's an essential part of the learning process or anything, but I felt like it was best for her to realize up front how tough this could be. There's a chance I'd make her cry. There's a chance she'd hate my guts after tonight. But even so, I needed to turn my heart to stone. Swordplay wasn't the kind of thing you pursued as a fun hobby. That was a surefire way to end up dead the first time you faced an actual threat. All right, Norn, follow me. Yes, sir. Still feeling a bit anxious despite myself, I set off on a run. Okay, that's good enough for today. Thank you, sir. As the setting sun shone down on us, Norn collapsed to the ground, gasping for air. I want you to practice the 3 basic forms I taught you today when you have the time. In the morning, at lunchtime, whenever. Even when I'm not around. Yes, sir. For our first real training session, it had gone decently. Once our running was over, I'd launched directly into reviewing the basic forms, or movements. After that, I'd thrown her right into a sparring match against me using wooden swords. I corrected her stance and foot movements as we went. Probably wasn't nearly as complex as the sort of training you get from a kendo instructor back in Japan, but this world didn't have many rules for its swordsmen to learn. Oh, excuse me. Really, when you got down to it, learning how to fight with a sword is mostly about getting in a lot of practice. Paul had started smacking me around fairly early in our sessions, and Ghislaine had spent a great deal of time sparring with Eris too. I felt like I had the right general idea. Norn seemed to be very reluctant to actually take a swing at someone with a wooden sword, so I started out by letting her swing at me freely to help her get over that. I didn't even defend myself, apart from moving my body so that she didn't hurt me. She grimaced every time she felt her sword strike home, but I tried very hard to keep a calm, composed look on my face. I wanted her to believe that I could take her blows just fine. I think it worked, probably, since she'd spent the last several months doing lots of practice swings. Her strikes had a decent amount of force behind them. I'd probably have some nasty bruises. After that, we got to the actual sparring. I smacked Norn around my sword for a while, then called an end to the session. I took it easy on her, of course, but her arms and legs would definitely be turning black and blue for too long. In other words, I'd done harm to my sweet little sister. Part of me was already wondering if I made the right choice here. Still, Norn kept swinging back at me to the bitter end. She didn't surrender or complain, much less break down in tears. As long as she had this level of motivation, basically any kind of training would be productive. What do you think, Norn? That hurt, didn't it? Yes. Was it too much to take? Do you want to quit? No. I want to train tomorrow, too. All right. To be honest, I wasn't too confident in my own ability as a teacher. If magic was comparable to an academic subject, swordsmanship was more like a sport. There really wasn't one correct answer, and if you wanted to improve, you just had to keep at it. Come here, Norn. I'll hear you up. I was intending to sit Norn down on the ground and use my magic to ease her pain. If she had any bruises under her clothes, I'd have to ask Sophie to do the honors later. Then again, Norn was going to be coming home to stay with us tonight, so maybe I could do it if we took another bath together. I pressed my sister and took off her jacket to get a better look at her arms, but then I sensed that we were being watched. Hmm? Turning around, I saw a group of male students staring at us, illuminated by the setting sun. How long have those guys been there? From the start, maybe? I assume they were just curious onlookers, but if they stuck around this long, they probably had a reason for their loitering. Maybe they wanted something from me. Norn, get dressed and wait for me, okay? I'll walk home with you today. Huh? Right. Okay, Rudius. I cast a few quick healing spells on Norn, then bustled her off towards the changing room. Once she was safely inside, I stepped over to the group of boys. As I drew closer, I realized there were more than 10 of them. None of them looked like the popular kind of kid. That was good. Maybe we could understand each other. They were staring at me with open hostility in their eyes, though. When I gazed right back at them, a few looked away awkwardly. At this point, I was a normie with 2 wives and a kid. That didn't mean I felt any scorn for these guys. I wasn't much different from them in my life, after all. Not that had stopped them from feeling intimidated. Do you guys need something? I asked. They looked at each other for a moment, then started whispering and then pushing each other on the back. Eventually, one member of the group stepped forward. The boy looked to be maybe 18 years old. He was about as tall as me, but looked gangly and out of shape. His cheeks were bony and his eyes were kind of shifty. A classic magician type, I guess. If he put a pair of glasses on his head, he might look a bit like Zenoma. Of course, Zenoma was always full of that bizarre confidence of his. This guy looked more like a self-loathing, resentful type. Why are you bullying Norn? He spat out, glaring at me. Huh? Bullying? I could feel my brow furrowing at the sound of that word. The young mage flinched at my reaction, but continued nonetheless. Look, hold on. I know Norn's clumsy and mess things up sometimes. Maybe she accidentally ticked you off somehow, but she tries her best at everything she does, okay? Do you really have to take it out on her like that? From behind him, the group muttered words of encouragement. In the first place, Norn's never even held a sword before. She didn't even know how to defend herself. I don't know what you did or what she did. Making her fight you was just too harsh. The group concurred again, a little more loudly this time. From the sound of things, they seemed to believe that I forced that sword in Norn's hands and beat her up for my own enjoyment under the pretense of training her. It was basically the opposite of the truth, but you can understand why they reached that conclusion. I wasn't a very skilled instructor for one thing. In any case, I need to clear this misunderstanding. Well, you see, I know you're the strongest mage in this entire school, but you're going to mistreat Norn like that. We're still going to fight you for her sake. This guy was really working up a head of steam now. There was real determination in his voice, but the chorus of approval from his friends was a lot quieter this time. In fact, I heard someone mutter, I don't think I agree to that, from the back. It's sad, but guys like us aren't particularly tough in groups either. Ah, right. Before I explained myself, there was one thing I needed to understand. Okay, can I ask who you people are exactly? Huh? His voice cracking, the young mage looked back at his friends for guidance. After a moment, he turned to face me again with an awkward look on his face. What do you mean exactly? I'm asking how you know my little sister. Are you her friends or something? No, we just, noticed her last year when she was a freshman. She always, does her best at everything, so we're kind of rooting for her, I guess. The guy was stammering now, but once he got those words out, his friends started chiming in as well. I noticed her on campus about 6 months ago. I'm in the same year as Norn. We had practical lessons together, and she kept messing up her fire spell over and over, but I saw her getting all teary-eyed while this instructor scolded her during magic training, and I just... They spoke clumsily, but never seemed to actually finish their sentences. But I still got the general idea. These guys had seen Norn in her classes on training sessions. They'd seen her tearing up as she fell repeatedly, but kept struggling nonetheless, and it had warmed their hearts. At some point, they banded together to try to offer her a little subtle support from the sidelines. In other words, Norn had a fan club. Come to think of it, I felt like Sylvie had mentioned something about this to me at some point. It was understandable. Norn was adorable, after all. I could see where they were coming from. As Norn's brother, I wanted to encourage their efforts. I think I understand the situation now. Thanks for looking out for Norn, everyone. I'm Rudius Greyrat, her big brother. When I lowered my head in gratitude, a surprised murmur ran through the little crowd. These guys were on Norn's side. Some of them might be capable of taking things too far, but as a group, they seemed to have nothing but good intentions. It was only right for me to treat them with respect. That said, I did still need to definitively clear this up or clean up this misunderstanding. As for a training session just now, I know it looked like I was treating her harshly. However, learning the sword isn't a game. It can be a matter of life and death. I proceeded to go over the entire situation in detail. First, I explained that the whole thing was Norn's idea. Secondly, I told him that it was dangerous to learn swordplay unless you took it very seriously. And finally, I emphasized that Norn needed to work much harder at it than most people would. The fan club was a little taken aback at first, but after a while, they seemed to understand where I was coming from. Still, I did hear someone mutter, "Did you really have to hit her that hard, though?" It was a fair question. I wasn't sure that my methods were correct either. All I wanted them to understand was that I wasn't picking on Norm maliciously. I continued my explanation at length, trying to convey my emotion or my motivations. By the faces of the fan club members slowly grew more serious as they listened, and by the end they were nodding reluctantly. These guys were still young, but by the standards of this world, they were all still adults. They were capable of understanding how deadly serious it was to go into actual battle. Rudius, is something the matter? Just as we were reaching an understanding, Norn had returned. She was wearing something like a poncho over her standard school uniform. "Oh, it's Norn!" "Hello, Norn. You look cute as always, or today, as always." "Nice job out there, Norn." The instant my sister arrived, everyone in her family club got remarkably creepy. Still, I could understand how they felt. She was adorable in that outfit. So adorable, I found myself picturing her carrying around a leaf umbrella. Hello there, everyone. Thank you." Norn flinched in response to this sudden barrage of encouragement, then bowed her head respectfully. I noticed she wasn't getting too close to them, though. I guess she was picking up on the weird vibes here, too. Rudius, I think I forgot something in my room. I'll go grab it now, so just wait for me at the school gates, okay?" Just like that, Norn turned and rushed off towards the dorms. Before she got too far, though, she tripped and fell. Norn was a little slow getting up, and once she was back on her feet, she looked back at me for just a moment and her eyes were glistening. I suppressed a sigh. Maybe you shouldn't be running right after you exercise, kid. Once we got back home, I'd had to give her a massage to help her control the muscle pain. She needed a nice, long, relaxing bath, too. Aw, she's so adorable. Don't run so fast, Norn. You're wearing a skirt, remember? I thought the school uniform was a stupid idea at first. I think I understand the appeal now. She's an awful slow runner, though. Yeah, if a kidnapper tried to snatch her, she might not get away. Ignore one on the slave market. I'll borrow her in a minute. Ooh, imagine living with Norn. Yeah, I'd buy Norn too. Then I take her back home and make her a nice big meal. And I fill her up with good food and insist she clean her plate. Oh, I can see her struggling to finish it all off. Yeah, wait, no. Norn's my little sister. I wasn't going to let anyone buy her on the damn slave market. If someone dared to kidnap her, I'd hunt them down and murder them painfully. Sounds good, Dad? Or sound good, Dad? Don't get mad at me. Good. I cleared my throat loudly, prompting the other members of the fan club to snap out of their disturbing fantasies. Guys, I need you to not talk about enslaving my little sister, thanks. Sorry. It's alright. I know she's adorable. You can have your own little daydreams, at least. As long as you keep a safe distance from her. Oh, really? Everyone seemed to relax a little at that. Yeah, but if you so much as lay a finger on her, you're going to seriously regret it. Yeah. It never hurt to be clear about these things. I didn't think anyone here was capable of getting up to real mischief, and groups like this tended to have a moderating effect on their members, but you never know what someone might do on impulse. The last thing I needed was one of them getting overheated and trying to snatch Norn off the street. On another note, what rules has your club agreed on so far? Huh? Our club? Yeah, this is Norn's fan club, right? What's your policy on interacting with her? It was very important to have a clear set of guidelines. Generally, the fans agreed not to approach their idol directly, but I heard some of the cases where people allowed themselves to ask for handshakes or autographs. The handshake thing was dicey territory, though. Sometimes guys would put off weird stuff in their palms first, like gum or sea urchins. I wanted to make sure that sort of thing was officially forbidden. Norn's... What? What's a fan club? Huh? To my surprise, though, the guys didn't seem to understand what I was talking about. It was almost like they'd never even heard of the concepts before. How strange. Wait a second, guys. Who's the person in charge of this group? In charge? We don't really have anyone in charge. Seriously? I need to explain in detail, please. Strangely enough, it turned out that this group hadn't actually been formed by anyone in particular. They'd been drawn together naturally by their shared appreciation for Norn's cuteness. Many of them didn't even know each other's names. I see. This was a very dangerous situation. What we had here was an unorganized mob of a certain uncertain size, united only by an interest in my little sister. And mobs, people are capable of doing things they wouldn't have the guts to try on their own. For example, kidnapping my adorable little sister and blaming her for being too cute to resist. Unacceptable, outrageous, scandalous. This isn't good, guys. At this rate, you're going to turn into a bunch of criminals. With criminals? No, we just. Sorry, but I know I'm right about this. Or sorry, but I know I'm right about this. I said flatly. One of you is going to cross the line eventually. Not surprisingly, this inspired a storm of denials and protests. Don't be ridiculous. None of us will ever try to lay a hand on Norn. I mean, we like Norn a lot, but it's more like she's our little sister or something. Say what, punk? She's my little sister, and I'm not sharing. Wait. Let's try to stay on topic. I believe you guys mean well, but I think we need to set some clear rules here. When you wanted to keep a group of people from getting out of control, you had to establish some basic regulations. Once the rules were in place, the members of the group would start keeping an eye on each other. Once you give people a set of rules, even rules as meaningless as wearing the same clothes and the same scarf as you wait to see your idol, the general tendency is to follow them. Rules arise naturally with time. They come into existence when they're needed and fade away when they aren't. This fan club didn't have much of a history yet. There hadn't been enough time for its rules to develop organically. But until they created some, Norm was in danger. I needed to speed up the process artificially. I was going to wait around for them to hunt her first. Somebody needed to make some fundamental decisions right now. Fortunately, the issues themselves were relatively simple and clear-cut. They just needed her promise not to scare Norn or put her at risk. The problem was finding someone to actually propose those rules. Excuse me. He would usually be the leader of the group, but these people didn't have one. The guy who stepped forward to challenge me was probably the most strong-willed. I appoint him as the boss and let him set the rules? Definitely not. The leader had to understand the responsibility they were taking on and accept it willingly. Randomly dropping power in someone's lap was never a good idea. Who understood the gravity of the situation best then? Who here cared most deeply about Norn's well-being? Me, obviously. All right then. Norn was my little sister too, my own flesh and blood. In other words, I was the lawgiver here. In the year 425 of the Armored Dragon era, a certain organization was founded in the Renoa University of Magic. Its name, the Norn Grey Rat Official Fan Club. This group, boasting some 30 members in total, would go on to leave an indelible mark on the history of the university. The name of its first president, however, is lost to history. Legend of the University number 3. The boss can summon 30 flunkies with a single word. Chapter 4.
No.
Let's talk about Aisha for a moment. The girl was doing well.
Whoa. I had to unmute twice. Sorry. It took me too long. That's where we're going to stop today.
All good.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what you guys think?
Out of the way.
It was kind of more of the day-to-day stuff, and it was a bit more wholesome.
For the most part.
Yeah, as wholesome as this series can get, let's be honest.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, he's regressing. I hate it.
He gets a wife and he starts
very
regressing.
chill vibes.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
At least, as you said, as chill as this gets.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just like, I hate.
As chill as you
I'm not gonna lie.
with Rudy as the pervert. Yeah.
I know. I'm not gonna lie. I hate reading some of the
Precisely.
parts. I'm just like, ugh. I hate when he's like, oh, I don't want to go with my own sister if she wasn't. Oh, it's like, ugh. Stop. Stop.
That's so gross. Like, dude.
It is.
Anyway.
Just like
At least with this one, at least it's like kind of self-aware that it's like, no, this is gross. Don't do this.
I mean, I hope so. But
I would agree. At least hope so. Yeah.
I don't like. I mean, I know he's gotten better compared to the earlier. Oh my god, the earlier parts of these light novels were like, oh my god, shut up.
Please stop.
But anyway, yeah, but it's fine. It's a lot better. But I was just like, oh no, he's going back. But it's okay. I thought it was good in terms
He's
of
regressing.
like, everything else. Was
Abort
good.
mission.
Okay, cool. He's spending time with his friends. He's spending time with his family. He's trying to do some things. Okay, there's progress. Thumbs up. We're basically reading season 3 right now, so thumbs up. I can already kind of see how it's going to
Thumbs
play out in my
up.
head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they're going to have to cut or remove, but I know that they're going to have to do some stuff. But it is nice having the behind the scenes first to see how like in depth they're trying to go. At least having him talk to people and kind of get some stuff set up. I'm assuming. So, thumbs up. Good
All
job. He's probably going to have like a billion kids.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure. I know how many he has, but it's at the same time, it's like, well,
Wait.
he's going to have 12,000 kids.
Mm.
Enough kids to make a kingdom
Yep.
or a new nation, the
Yep.
Gray Rat Nation.
Yep.
Everything changed when the gray rats attacked.
They already did, dude. They were-
There it is. All right, everybody.
Yep.
Moon, you good? You're muted.
Keeping.
Well, that explains a lot. Yeah, I had to talk to my sister for a second.
You're good.
Oh, oh, oh,
It
oh.
happens to all of
He was
us.
saying
It
things. He
happens
was
to
making
all of
jokes and
us.
no one was responding.
Why is no one talking to me?
I made some really fun jokes and no one's reacting to them.
It sounds like every time I write a script. I made so many good jokes and no one's reacting to them.
Like, oh, that's when you're thinking, oh, maybe I muted my mic. No, we heard.
No,
Oh.
no, no. That's
No.
so sad.
No.
That's so
No.
sad, guys. All right.
No.
That being said, guys, thank you so much for coming by and hanging out with us
Mhm.
for the stream. We really do appreciate it. Let's see who's on that we can raid, man. Dude, we still got like an
Yeah.
hour and 4 minutes before we do get another ad coming in. So that's why I do the 3-minute
Hell yeah.
ads at the beginning of the stream so that we don't have to worry about any of this. Small goatfish, SEVT, the numbskulls, of course. Oh no. Froggy is doing
Connor is
bedtime
live? I
stories.
don't
That's
know.
hilarious.
Correct.
Yeah, Sea Dog is live.
Oh no.
He's playing FNAF.
Sea Dog, yeah, he's playing FNAF.
Yeah.
Um,
Seeing how many
yeah.
of those he can get through.
Joel is playing Pokemon ZA,
Pokemon,
and I'm
yeah.
like, oh no,
Mhm.
Pokemans.
the laziest of
Yep.
the Pokemans.
Zah. Pokemon Za.
Yeah.
Pokemon Za.
It's very
Pokemon Za.
upsetting.
Sucks because it brings
Yep.
Megas back and it breaks my heart.
Well, I mean, that's
Yeah.
all they did, though. There's no new Pokemon or no new forums or anything. I was like, oh, man, that would have been kind of cool.
And
Yeah.
and
The
then
Mega
some of the megas are real lazy.
Ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quantity over quality. Yeah.
You know
like
what?
they
I-
did add
Unfortunately.
new megas, but like so many of them are just terrible.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
Why
ahead. I'm
why
gonna
did
go
you
ahead
just
and
give
raid
Stormy
Joel.
legs?
Or just Control C, Control V. Bam.
Alright,
We made
gotcha.
a mega.
I'm gonna go ahead
bad.
and we're gonna go ahead
Yeah.
and do a raid on Joel. So guys,
Joel.
make sure to go say hi to Joel.
Joel.
Yeah.
Joel. Make sure to go say hi to Joel, and tell him to have a good dog.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, thanks for coming to the stream and
Also-
joining us, Cube.
Yes,
good to meet you.
Cube,
No
just to
problem.
explain really
Yeah.
quickly what the hell we mean when we just start saying have a good dog. Somebody tried to tell us to have a good day and accidentally said have a good dog, and we're fat dogs, so we were just like, yeah, we're keeping that. So that became our raid message.
New catchphrase.
That
Yeah.
became our new raid
Yippee.
message. Have a good
That's
dog.
like he's like
If
that's
you,
a good line. No. That's a good line.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Every
use
dog
that.
has his day. All right, everybody.
It's
We'll
true.
see you later.
I'm gonna
Take
use
care.
that.
Yeah, we'll
And
see you
bye bye
later.
for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.